Hey, everybody, welcome back to Subversive Subversions, the only podcast on the internet where you will find a sincere analysis of Kanye West's cousins.
Hell
I am
yes.
here. I am Jesse Larkins, the author of Soap Scum, and I am with my incredible co host, the king of cringe himself. How's it going, man?
That's doing great. We're just back here for another one and going to talk about stuff. So,
Oh, yeah, lots of stuff. um Basically at the beginning of our friendship, when we first started talking, I just immediately started recommending you movies, basically. And I don't recall what spurred on my like what spurred on specific reasonings behind why I sent you the things I did, but I think I just got a vibe immediately, and I just started sending you like Joseph Kahn work, and some of my personal favorite like top five movies that moved me and affected my work, and then you actually did the work of figuring out what I was talking about by watching those movies.
yeah. Yeah, so to give more context, I don't really watch movies. So Jesse Larkins has been turning me into like his guinea pig on like cool films and stuff like that. And it's really funny because I think this is not like people have given me like recommendations before. They're like, "Oh, watch Godzilla minus one," like all these kind of like boring mainstream movies, and then like. I mean, we'll get into it. Like Jesse was like, "Yo, you should watch this movie. Straight on, top 10 banger. Went into my top five. This guy does not miss, bro." So it's just been fun watching like all of the movies he recommends because like yeah, his taste is dope, and like I've just been being exposed to like a whole different world, and so I guess I'm more of a cinema's more exciting now to me than it was before for sure.
Yeah, I love shedding on you and sharing my absurd, obsessive love and passion for movies. And yeah, it's been a total mind melding of the two of us as we've been developing an understanding and a familiar shared language of movies and whatnot. Yeah, my cat's going nuts. Get out of here, motherfucker. um, but yeah, your personality, to me, I was immediately like, okay, what's the kind of movie that resonates with this personality type immediately? And I just thought of Torque right away, Joseph Kahn's Torque.
Yeah, so I guess this is the first one we're gonna be talking about is Torque.
Yeah, Torque, and then his follow up film, Detention.
All right, so let's just get into it.
Yeah, so I guess for maybe a little bit of context before we get into Torque, Joseph Kahn is an infamous music video director. I mean, even if you don't know who he is, you've definitely seen his work before. It's kind of unavoidable in a way. He's basically done, he's done all the major Britney Spears music videos. He's done, work for Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Eminem, just anybody you could imagine. He's probably done one of their most mainstream music videos, and he's got a very distinct, very sensational kind of comic booky style to it.
Yeah, it is very, I guess, surprisingly graphic novelty in a sense. Like it's kind of superhero-ish in a weird way. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of anime inspired, and it's also just very graphic novelty, the way the camera works and the way characters just totally eat up the photography they're in. They just have these total hero poses all the time, and uh yeah, just the movement of them is very like action packed.
Yeah, I mean that you said anime, like it totally reminds me of like Torque when they have the Akira slide on the train, which was that
Yeah.
was awesome. But yeah, that was like a whole thing where this guy like I think he like rides a motorcycle like from the ground onto the top of the train, and then he does like the Akira slide, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is badass. This is cool.
Yeah, some absurd Rube Goldberg type of event happens where like something like lands on the road and it's just perfect enough to be a ramp for him to ride the motorcycle up and then onto the moving train. And yeah, it's so fucking absurd, but it's just relentlessly fun in that sort of absurd way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the first thing that, because when I watched Torque the first time, I think you recommended it to me. I think there's like it's very the way it's cut is like super fast, and I think that was like the first thing that caught my eye on like how it was shot. I was like, this is like super fast, and it's like it's almost like brain overload, but it's like a good brain overload. So
Yeah, the editing is rapid pace. It's like the cuts yeah, the cuts are so quick. One shot in his movie doesn't typically last longer than a couple seconds, if that even.
yeah,
And even yeah, the most extreme action scenes, like one shot could just be someone moving a muscle a little bit. Like it's so micro. Some of these cuts, and it just creates this really hyper fluid pacing to it. Yeah.
yeah, that was like the first thing I was drawn to. I was like, whoa, and it's present in all his music videos and stuff, and it's just great on that
hmm
front. I don't know if there's. Were you gonna say something, Jesse?
I was just gonna be like, well, how do we even describe the plot to this movie when the plot doesn't really matter?
Well, that's the thing. Like, so it's this story. I feel like is a pretty basic plot,
hmm
and it's all right. It's serviceable. I think like all the other elements around Torque are what I like the most, like the insanity, like the jump cuts and stuff like that. But what I heard was that Joseph Kahn wanted to make it a comedy, but the studio made him like make it like a serious movie. And so I'm just kind of bummed out because I feel like if it was a comedy, it would have been even better. As a
hmm
farce goal, you put the farce on top of the general storyline, that makes sense. But it's kind of normal serious, so I feel like it kind of drops a few points there, at least for me, in terms of like pure technicals.
Yeah, I mean, because I think I read in an interview that he said that Torque ended up only being like 70% of what he actually wanted for the vision. And that yeah, the studios, once they kind of realized what he had been filming, were pretty pissed. they didn't they didn't realize that he was making something that was so basically poking fun at Fast and Furious movies and kind of yeah, just trying to be its own unhinged thing. So yeah, they I'm pretty sure some cuts were made that he was not happy with, probably.
Yeah, it's so interesting too because you say that because like I think I've watched one Fast movie in my entire life. I don't know if it was like
Oh
Fast Four or
really?
something.
Wow.
It, bro, it was like super boring, dude. I don't know how else to say it. Like I was bored out of my
You
mind.
remember which one?
It was the one that everybody talks about is good. The one with where they take the safe out of the building, I think, with like a tow truck.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely, because all of those eventually just kind of blur in my mind into one, just one traffic accident of a series, and
Yeah, I
I,
mean, like,
you know,
yeah, Fast Furious is like it's like Call of Duty. It's like the McDonald's. Like it has its place, but just for me, I was bored out of my mind. It was really interesting watching Torque because even though it's kind of like the same generic storyline, it's done so much. I don't know, like differently or better. That it's just it was. I was watching. I was having so much fun with Torque as compared to like Fast and Furious.
yeah, there's such a sense of personality and kind of a winking humor, but also a total unabashed appreciation for that early 2000s sort of motorcycle culture
Yeah,
and Mountain Dew and like sexy bitches on motorcycles and like the American dream and like all of these things, like he unabashedly finds like genuinely interesting to photograph and likes it. And he kind of like leans into the kitschiness of it, but it's something that's really like the point of the movie in a way. Yeah, over the plot, which is just so it doesn't even matter at all.
Yeah, it's almost like a Power Rangers plot or something.
Right. Because he directed it, but it was
Yeah.
written by this other guy. I think his name is Matt Johnson or something like that. And I looked up what he's made, and he has only written just the most generic action movies where it's like, by the numbers, like, oh, this guy double crosses this guy, and now these agents are involved. So the
Okay.
plot to this movie is just very basic, not trying to do anything. And then it takes Joseph Kahn to come in and turn it and elevate it into this fucking anime DBZ style on motorcycles, like
Yeah.
just this totally elevated form of whatever they were doing in Fast and Furious.
Do you have any favorite moments from Torque that you remember or
Oh, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, okay, the very beginning, there's
yeah.
there's two cars and they're gonna race each other, and then his motorcycle like out races them and like speeds past them, and as he does this, a street sign starts spinning uncontrollably, and and the street sign says "Cars suck."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, everything can go to fast and
Yeah, I was just like, okay, this is crazy. And
base.
there's just so many one-liners that are, just so funny. And he says this line actually that's from the Fast and Furious movies. There's a line in Fast and Furious where Vin Diesel goes, "I live my life quarter mile an hour," or "I live my life yeah, by the quarter mile." And in this movie, the main guy, he they like form a plan, and then as he's walking away, he goes, "I I live my life by the quarter mile," and then it zooms in on the girl's face, and she goes, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard."
Okay, yeah. I didn't hear that, so like I didn't get it, but I was like, man, if I had watched Fast Furious, like this would be so much funnier if I had known
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's so
just
great.
like totally taking shots at it, and um, yeah, I don't know. It's just every single shot in this movie is so stylized, and it feels like it took him so much painstaking effort just to even get like one shot. And
Yeah.
I'm just blown away. I watched this movie and I'm like, how the fuck did you do this? How how is it possible that one guy, his vision,
Yeah.
came into fruition in this kind of way?
Nah, like the movie is like, yeah, as you said, like I don't know, it is super beautiful to look at. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like the way he frames stuff is like super beautiful.
Hmm.
Um,
And
and
sun drenched and
yeah, and just like like how he'll shoot like women and stuff like that, as you mentioned. Like it's just everything looks so perfect in a sense. There's no like no. I don't think there's is there grunge. I don't think there's a lot of grunge. You don't get the sense that there's like it's like a grungy, dirty world, even though it's like it takes place in like a desert and like generally rowdy places. It's very pristine.
yeah, it's actually surprisingly clean, and like the dust that gets kicked up isn't really like, yeah, making anybody dirty or anything. It's just it's just pure aesthetic. And um I was just thinking that a lot of the actual driving in this movie feels dangerous. Like there's
Mm,
a
yeah,
you actually have like stunt people like diving out of the way of of motorcycles about to hit them. And I really, I appreciate that now more than ever, especially when you would never nowadays risk anything like that. You would
oh
it would
yeah,
just all be CG or CG people being put in or reacting in different ways. And there's definitely a sense of you know uh of momentum and grinding, yeah, actual torque in the
yeah, like
movie.
real weight of like the bodies moving forward and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, because there is a loss of um when technology does this, it's always like a trade off, right? Because like you're I guess you're essentially trading time for like feeling in the sense like we can have a real person react and get a real reaction, or we can CGI this guy and get like 10 versions of the same thing, and theoretically there's maybe one version in the 10 of the CGI version that would be better, you know. So it's always like a trade-off between those two, I think.
Hmm.
But you know,
But yeah, there is just something really visceral and tangible about seeing something that was, clearly done actually in camera for real. And yeah, it just adds a muscular quality to it. And it just, yeah, it makes it feel dangerous.
I think that's something that people like need to marry more. I think is like it's not an either or game in the sense that maybe like people could take one shot of a person doing that in real life and get that emotion, and then like they also run the CGI. Um, I'm reminded of like Transformers, where I think for the CGI, like they they have the CGI obviously, which is like fake, but then they also rotoscoped it or something, so that the CGI people would have reference from real life, and that's why those movies look so good, you know.
Hmm.
So I think like a mix of the two is like probably the best way to go. But yeah, for sure, like having the viscerality does mean a lot because you don't want to just have like fake plastic CGI. There's really no way to like recapture like the real feeling of something like that with just like CGI.
Yeah, and there were obviously limitations in the past where it's just like, okay, you really cannot represent this in camera. Like I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but just looking at the old Lou Ferrigno Hulk, and where it's just like, all right, we got to just try and angle the camera low behind a jacked dude. And
Oh, okay.
whereas we've come now where we can actually have actors do the modeling, and include actual like specific features and qualities that they bring as an actor, instead of just pure CG, or just the actor looking goofy or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So, but yeah,
it
finding
makes
that
sense
sweet spot.
for sure. Um, yeah, it's gonna be one of the things to do. I mean, it's always sad to see like stuff kind of fade away into the past because like yeah, like that real life stuff is the cool things, but also it is good. I said to like just have any shot you want. That does mean a lot. I think in filmmaking to just
Hmm.
get the big. I don't know, Hulk jumping 3,000 miles in the air and you can like shoot from the underside of his penis or something. Like, wow, can you believe that?
Right, right. But
So,
yeah, but there's not a lot of gravity to it or something.
yeah, and then you'll miss that, and you're like, oh, cause like I think you've noticed like I haven't watched a lot of Marvel movies, but they kind of look all the same in the sense, and I don't know if they look good. Like there's kind of like a sense of something wrong. Not, I don't know how to say it. It's professional, but it's like kind of weightless sometimes.
Sorry, hang on one second.
No problem.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about this in the chat a little bit, how they feel designed by committee. And
Yeah,
even if they do pick a interesting director to come on board or whatever, it's really not to get their personality infused in it at all. It's actually just for the publicity of the name. And like you said, it's like the movie's probably already finished by the time by the time they bring that person on, and they don't actually contribute that much. Like when Sam Raimi did uh the second Doctor Strange movie, everyone got super hyped. They're like, "Oh my god, yeah, dude, Evil Dead in the fucking Marvel universe, hell yeah!" And then they watched it, and then there was only one scene where they thought they could see Sam Raimi at all, and the rest was just the typical slop they had been getting, for the past 10 fucking years. So,
yeah. I think it was something I read where like Marvel, they pretty much have like the whole movie already done, and like it's all in like previs, and then they like hire the director on to like maybe a couple like script stuff, like maybe like the real life stuff, but like
mhm.
a lot of the action, I think like I think for sure the action is all done. And so what you have is like you have an action sequence that's like made by somebody else plus this other director. And I guess that brings cohesion where you're like, okay, all the action scenes are made by one guy, and then like all the real life moments are made by the writer. But it does bring a sense of, I guess, uncanniness to like the director himself, where it doesn't feel like a product of the act of the I'm sorry, the director. It just feels like
Mhm.
a Marvel product plus director, which I guess is what they want, what audiences want. But you know, it. I think
Yeah,
yeah,
it's hard.
it's
It's
less
hard to
unique.
kind of right. It's like it's hard to make something that is uniform and unique at the same time. Like they definitely have like a mission statement.
Yeah,
Um, so if they make creative choices that you know differentiate too much from that, or detour too much from that, then it's just going to be chaos for them to try and patch the holes up for whatever damage it caused.
you know what I think it is though. I think the main problem is like the MCU's greatest strength is also its worst enemy. I think the problem is that it needs to be in the connected universe, right? Because if it didn't need to be in the connected universe, any movie could be whatever it wanted to be uniquely for the director, right?
Right.
And I've kind of noticed this also with like American comic books where they every single one has this giant universe, and I think over it sounds cool at first, but over time, like you can't just due to certain reasons. Like the MCU is still going on. Like why is it this? Why has it not ended? You know? And I think like Japanese manga, they have the foresight to understand that things need to begin and end. And if you just have like one ongoing current universe, it's eventually gonna like get boring, get stale, and like audiences I think will eventually tune out.
Yeah, it's hard for me to commit to something that is ongoing and has like hundreds of thousands of episodes, or the manga's just like going forever. And because I like knowing that I like knowing there's an end in sight. I like knowing that the story has some kind of hole to it or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just hard when your business model is to just go on forever and ever.
Yeah, like imagine like some dude comes up to you, oh now make 20 more years of MCU, like how? Like
Right, yeah, be like, "All right, let me get on that."
yeah,
The whole climax ended. I mean, they basically had a 30 movie run, which is pretty phenomenal,
yeah,
where it was telling, one after the other, basically telling a cohesive story, and it had its emotional climax, and then they're like, "Well, let's keep going."
yeah,
And it has completely stuck. I mean, like, I'm not even a huge fan of those first 30 movies, but it's like
yeah,
at least it fucking did something. And now they're just clearly spinning their wheels, and they're falling to the whims of the culture, and all kinds of shit. They've just dug themselves into so many holes that they're fucked.
I watched Endgame. It was good. It was good. Like I think that was a good end. And then yeah, they just had to keep going. So
Yeah, Endgame.
yeah, that was
Right. Yeah.
good. That was nice. It was good. Whatever.
Right.
But yeah. But now they're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and you're like, why again? Like this is just the same thing as before. But
Right, and now any meaning behind him leaving that universe is completely gone, and
yeah,
you've just it's just completely transparent that now these people are just desperate for money and will just do movies to retain some sort of uh cultural marketplace. And like it's
yeah,
not really to pursue any kind of artistic merit. It's just like, oh, you need me back? You're gonna offer me this much money? Let's go.
sign up. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
make that bag, but also, god damn, does it? You just produce nothing but slop.
yeah. But it's it's so good on this discussion of Torque that we just veered off into talking shit about the FCU.
Yeah, how great is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh well, funny enough, I'll tell you right back.
yeah.
Joseph Kahn was on Twitter today, and he said the greatest performance of all time is Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I've never
Have you
watched
seen
Tropic.
Tropic
I
Thunder?
haven't. I haven't.
Okay, yeah, he's in blackface the whole
Yeah, but,
time.
but as I was about to say, I've seen the memes. I've seen the memes. Everybody's seen the memes.
And part of him is correct. That is an incredible performance. It's
Okay,
like one of the funniest. It's just one of the best comedic performances of all time. I really love that. Really love it.
gotta okay. I guess I gotta watch Tropic Thunder now. I gotta make it happen.
Yeah, dude, check it out and let me know. Let me know what you think. That's what's great about this episode too, is like we're setting out to talk about like a
Movies.
couple movies, and then we're gonna end up branching out and talking about a billion more. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we can keep this as I explore more stuff, and because I think uh soon I'm gonna watch what is it, Planet Terror and Death Proof, because they're both like free on
oh
Tubi right now.
yeah, I was gonna ask you if you got around to those because we were talking about it last night or whatever.
I think this
Um,
weekend or something.
Death Proof is. I haven't watched Planet Terror since I was a kid. That's my dad fucking loves both of those movies. He showed me those movies when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But Death Proof especially is a return to really dangerous stunt driving 70s type movies.
Okay.
It's like that movie. Oh my god, I was like white knuckling it at some parts because I just couldn't believe what that they were actually filming these cars going this fast with these people in it and like crashing them into each other. It's visceral shit. Really
I-
good.
Is it better to watch it in the order of like Planet Terror first and then Death Proof, or could you like
I've
watch Death
never
Proof?
done that.
Oh, okay.
I've personally never done the Grindhouse experience. I've only watched them separately.
Okay.
But I've always kind of wanted to because like I know that they intersplice these fake trailers in there too, and which I've seen individually on YouTube, but I think all together would be a really phenomenal experience. But yeah, I personally haven't done that yet.
Oh, well, I was just wondering because I mean, no spoilers, but like, because it would really suck if because at least from the outside looking in, Planet Terror seems a bit more fun than Death Proof. And I don't know
Hmm.
if I want to end my day on like a downer of like serial killing on Death Proof. So, so
Oh
like I
no,
was I was thinking of maybe watching Death Proof first and then Planet Terror.
I will say without
Okay,
without spoiling, obviously, that they are both uh, cathartic,
okay,
and they do not. Neither one of them leaves you feeling on a dour note. They both are very like fuck yeah kind of endings.
okay. I'll watch it as the way it's meant to be seen. Then I'll do that.
Yeah, the two of them, man, they were riding the same wavelength for sure. That they didn't. I don't think either one of them wanted. They both wanted to take it to some extreme places, but they weren't going to leave it on that kind of a note. That's definitely not. It didn't seem like that was their intentions really.
Yeah. All right.
Because exploitation films, it's all about fun and just really reveling in absurd content and.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's gonna be fun because I think this is gonna be like the fourth Tarantino film I've tried to get into, or is it like the fifth? Because I've tried super hard. This is gonna come like out of nowhere, but I
Hmm.
don't like every single Tarantino movie I've watched. And this is what I'm saying, where like people were recommending me movies I didn't like. I
Hmm.
tried Pulp Fiction because everybody said it was great. I wasn't into
Okay.
it because like it was so. It felt kind of pointless to me. Like the conversations were happening, and then it just kind of ends. I was like, that was it, you know. Like I don't know, maybe I just didn't get it. And then I watched Inglorious Bastards because everybody also said that was good. And then that was like
Hmm.
also a bunch of talking, and I don't know. Like, there's also the thing that it's 2025, and like, oh, Nazis so bad. Wow, like, it didn't hit as hard, you know.
Hmm.
And
Right.
then I watched both Kill Bills, and I was like, I can see like how influential like Tarantino is like super influential, right? He's probably like influenced 1,000 things that I like from other directors or stuff that I've watched. Massively impressive. But like watching Kill Bill, I was like, I don't know, like it was kind of boring, and I guess it was like maybe like the 2000s, I guess. But I feel like we have like movies now that I don't know, like move faster or something. Kill Bill just I don't know. just wasn't. But like I can see the influence of like the Mexican like American Mexican Western. Like Kill Bill was kind of the pioneer of that vibe.
Hmm.
So like those are the four like Tarantino movies I've watched so far.
Well, that if I had to pick one that you would have gelled with, I probably would have picked Kill Bill just because it's such a he really threw everything into that one, like every
Yeah,
possible element that he loves, like um because it's not just it's not like just a kung fu movie. It's also kind of a western, and it's kind of a combination of like all of these '70s films or '70s genres that he really liked,
yeah.
and just mishmashing them into this one just really absurd, bloody sort of thing. I mean, like yeah, it literally cuts to anime at a certain point. Um,
I think yeah, like things like ultra violence, right? Like I
mhm.
remember maybe I'm wrong, but like Kill Bill was like the first one where it was like oh ultra violence in like the advertising or whatever. Um, and I think
Yeah,
a lot
he's
of
always
other people have copied that now. You know?
I mean, yeah, because when he was doing ultra violence, there weren't you couldn't really find that, like
Yeah,
there are like um there were very significant moments in movie history that were that were kind of being cataloged. It's like, okay, all right, this guy, he just did the all-time fucking head smashing scene, and it was kind of like ranked. You could almost keep track of the progression of these things. And when he was doing it, it's like, yeah, not that many people are in that arena. Fast forward to today, and yeah, almost every every major violent TV show or every major violent movie has a scene that is so shockingly brutal and ultra violent, and that almost like makes the shit that came out like 20 years ago look like nothing. But
yeah,
also, there's such a complete lack of weight and personality to the modern shit that it just like it makes it seem kind of pointless almost when you're seeing it now. It's just like, and especially because people are so afraid. They think that sex is more shocking and graphic to show than someone getting their head stomped in.
yeah,
So, so it's just like I'm just not as I'm not as thrilled or shocked when people think they're showing that really ultra violence nowadays. But when I see
yeah,
it from like the 20 years ago, when Quentin's doing it and when some of these other guys who were pioneering it doing it, it really felt like you were being rattled, like you were seeing something visceral that you weren't supposed to see or something.
yeah. Well, I think it's good in the fact that like we've improved. I would. I'm not necessarily sure if improve is the correct word, but like it's a continuation of like I'm more familiar with video games and like just thinking like of all the Mortal Kombat fatalities that go like super hard, like people's
Hmm.
guts are being ripped out. And you're like, oh wow. So like when I've seen that, and then I go back to Kill Bill, I'm like, well, Kill Bill's not that violent, and like, but Mortal Kombat probably, it was in the milieu of like going up, so it was just
Yeah,
time passing. It's good.
that's what's funny. Those games are super crazy, gory, and violent, and that's what makes them really fun, right?
Yeah,
And here he's trying to have that same level of fun, but it's actually pretty subdued and classical in a way. But he's
yeah,
getting way more shit from it, from like soccer moms and the general public, than some of these games get the shit for it.
yeah. That's true. That's true. But when did Kill
Like,
Bill come out? Like 2004?
yeah, like a
Yeah.
while, yeah, years before or something.
Yeah, because I think like Mortal Kombat when it was like getting real violent was like the 2009 one when they like rebooted
Okay,
it. So
that sounds right. Yeah.
so that's about like when the ultra violent. I don't know if anybody really protested like Mortal Kombat 9 when it came out though. I think like the last time I remember was yeah like some people were like protesting Mass Effect for like having a sex scene in it or something. I think that was the last time I remember anybody like protesting video games or something that was on the national news.
Right, genuinely getting like yeah up in arms about it and stuff.
Yeah, which it wasn't even that bad. If you look back at the Mass Effect scene, it's like there's like no sex in it. It's kind of fucking funny. So times have changed.
I was just thinking that, you know, yeah, because a massive part of Tarantino movies, and it's so funny that we went from Forrest
Yeah,
to all MCU to Tarantino,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, like one of the main signifiers of a Tarantino movie is these run-on dialogue scenes. And
Yeah.
you either find them super engaging and you just like are riveted by it and you're just hanging on to every word, or you're very bored by it. And I've definitely seen like like both reactions to the same scenes. Like Inglorious Bastards, like I think that movie's probably his masterpiece. Like
Mhm.
because I think that he really nails the buildup of those dialogue scenes, creating a suspense and like like a genuine tension up to an erupting climax. With all kinds of bloodshed or whatever. I think it really comes into fruition there the most. Um, but you're right, because in his earlier movies, like sometimes these scenes, people will just be talking about pop culture references and they really just don't go anywhere. Uh they're just kind of like they're just kind of making noise for the movie. But
Yeah.
that was like revolutionary at the time. Like people didn't know that they could do that. Really, they didn't they didn't know they could just like have people just bullshitting about like TV or any and like pop culture or the news or whatever, and they'd be like, oh yeah, well now let's get back to the plot or whatever. So you definitely see that a lot more nowadays, where characters are more relaxed and more open to just like bullshitting.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Like, I think like with Inglorious Bastards for me, it's just like, man, I want the Nazis to win.
Yeah,
Like,
well, Christoph Waltz is the best character.
oh yeah, yeah, he was
The
good in that
Nazi
movie.
hunter.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's like, he is, you kind of, part of you wants him to lose, but part of me wants him to succeed. Like I want him, to nail the bastards. And you know,
yeah.
um, when he strangles that woman at the end, it is so
Oh
so
yeah,
just sensational. I couldn't believe that. And a little bit of a based backstory for that scene. Quentin Tarantino used his actual hands to choke that bitch out.
yeah. Wasn't it like he also because he has like a foot fetish or something? Like he was taking the bitches like stockings off or something.
There's definitely a through line, a foot fetish through line in most
Yeah,
of his movies, for sure. But for that one, I guess you could probably say there might be some sexual element to that. But yeah, the way he described it was, he's like, whenever I see people getting choked out on screen, it just doesn't look real to me. You can tell in the way the hands look that they're not actually choking each other. So
mm,
I, talked to the actress and got her permission. Like, how are you comfortable with me actually choking you so that this can look legitimate? And she was totally down or whatever. And
of
ever since I
course.
heard him say that, I can't get that out of my head. Every time I see a choking scene in a TV show or a movie, I'm looking at their hands and I'm seeing that the hands
Mm,
aren't tight. They're not gripping tight enough. They're like almost relaxed, but just like in the choking position. And I'm like, God damn it, if he's not a fucking genius. Like
yeah,
he's kind of right. Like he's like, oh shit, there is kind of this problem there where it's like it's unfortunate because you actually have to cause a little bit of physical harm or whatever, but to achieve the look you want. But I don't know, actors used to suffer for their craft and now they don't.
this makes you like who was Quentin choking out before in real life? Like some dude like stole something from him. He had to choke the guy out. You know?
Oh man. uh Man, that just for some reason brought me back to this one girl who tried to ruin him by releasing this fully detailed story of her night with him and how he like, jerked off on her feet and all this stuff.
Oh,
I'm just
word.
like, yeah, yeah. What is the life of Quentin Tarantino during these movies? Because now he's got a kid and he's married and all this stuff. But I'm sure he was a fucking pussy hound back in the day.
Just jerking off on feet. But yeah, I do want to say like going back to like the dialogue. I think it's just like culture has kind of moved on because I think I said it before. We might get back into it when we talk about Buffalo '66, but like I think like humor has just passed on from like where it used to be. I remember like in Pulp Fiction where they're like, oh, like a Royale with cheese. I think that's like an iconic line, and I think to myself, who gives a fuck about like what the Big Mac is called? Like I don't care, you know. And like
Right.
now it's all about like, Sam Hyde humor that's just like over the top, next level, and just a lot of different comedy troops and stuff like that that are like making stuff, and that stuff feels real to me, and that like, but like probably at the time, yeah, like talking about Big Macs was like cool, but I think it's just like, it wasn't, this was like way in the past, and it's just, time passes everything.
Yeah,
And
you kind of gotta look through it in this '90s sort of lens to sort of appreciate the humor because we've definitely come a long way since in humor as far as that goes. It's definitely kind of
yeah,
boomer tier shit. And but yeah, when it came out, people were like, "Whoa, fuck! This is like a movie about a guy talking about French cheeseburgers? Like that's nuts."
yeah,
but but nowadays, it's like, yeah, that's it. It's really nothing because we've gone so far into the future that now movies are talking about Tarantino movies, like
yeah.
like there's that movie Let's Be Cops, where
I've
they
never really
literally
seen
talk
it.
about, they just reference fucking Reservoir Dogs. They reference Pulp Fiction in all kinds of movies
Yeah.
nowadays. They just outright talk about it. So he opened the gateway for people to even address his own movies in movies.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And yeah, like just I think, I think about that all the time with like my art. Like my art is never to be the best. It's just to be the guy that's like, I feel like we need to be the stepping stones for the next generation. And there's always, as it said, there's always somebody better than you. So it's just keeping that in mind and just understanding like, all of our favorite movies, and eventually us, if we make something that's great, somebody's gonna surpass us, and but we have to be there first to like make the way for like the next guy.
Yeah, it's like when you were talking about, I forget, I think maybe it was last episode, but you were talking about how the modern Tolkien isn't just going to write Lord of the Rings. He's going to end up creating something that doesn't look anything like that. It's going to be uh something that speaks to the culture or whatever, some new modern hybrid sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, hopefully we're gonna shout out like, like Dan Baltic's probably done something. There's Phil Roth, MNDR. There's so many cool guys in the scene that are just like making cool shit right now. Obviously, you're awesome. So.
Thank you. So are you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to those are the books I'm trying to read right now. Those I'm not getting
Yeah.
too lost in the weeds with some of the overly produced, medieval or fantasy content or whatever, barbarian content. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find these very specific individualist authors who are putting out, yeah, very specific creations that you can tell are just like, these things that were festering in their brain, and it's not, even if it's maybe inspired by a collection of things, it's its own unique identity. um so yeah, I'm always on the hunt for those kind of things. Yeah, MNDR was a real uh earth shattering
Yeah.
type of experience for
Oh.
sure. So all those guys, I'm definitely interested, and if I haven't gotten to their books yet, I definitely will.
So you want to, since we mentioned it, you want to switch over, you want to just go crazy and switch over to Buffalo '66, talk about that,
Oh, sure.
because we have to touch on
Jump.
Vince Gallo because he's like our guy, right?
Yeah, 100%. A couple, I forget what year it was. It might have even been, no, it had to have been during the Trump presidency, the first presidency. He released this massive essay to his website. You can still probably find it.
Yeah.
This really long, detailed essay where he was just basically is like, "I am a proud Republican. I am happy that Donald Trump is the president." Like, and like all this stuff, and he just goes into the state of personal responsibility and how he, when he was a kid, he had to take a road trip across America, and it like completely changed his life and taught him like personal responsibility and like helped him form his identity truly. um yeah, he is 100% our guy. He's had to defend his Republican values against critics since he's been around making art.
Yeah. Um, okay, cool. I'm just gonna hold that thought for a second because I feel like we missed a thing in that. So Torque. General thoughts, Jesse. You think it's worth a watch or?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
Torque is amazing. Everybody should watch Torque and enjoy it. Ironically and unironically, just enjoy Torque. It is a pure adrenaline rush of a movie, and everyone will love it.
Yeah. So yeah, agree. Totally agree. Like as I said before, Torque was the first movie that Jesse gave me. It's awesome. It was like right on the spot. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me. It's in my top five. So definitely watch Torque. It's really
Hell
good.
yeah.
It's just awesome. But okay, so going back to Buffalo '66, yeah, Vince Gallo. I guess there's a lot of, I guess Republican coded. I don't know if it's Republican coded, but stuff in this movie where
Base shit.
he just takes the girl. She's just his now. So that was dope.
He just decides, yeah, he
Yeah,
just sees her and kidnaps her, and then that's it. She's his now forever. And
yeah,
she doesn't have a problem with it, actually. She just she just adores him. She worships him and loves him and adores him and wants and wants to take care of him from that point on.
yeah.
Even though she's like, a little terrified at first, but like she very quick, dude, she gives these looks every now and then where you can tell on her face like she finds it a little hot and like a little interesting. And I yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of like random based shit like that in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, and he also, I think, at the beginning there, like he calls someone an F slur because someone's looking at his dick.
Oh yeah,
Very cool.
100%. He's in, he spends the first like 10 minutes of the movie needing to piss, and once he finally gets to the bathroom, there's a big fat gay guy looking down at his dick. He's like, "Damn, dog." He's like, "Get the fuck off me," and
Yeah,
it just like like threatens to beat the fuck out of him. Yeah, calls him the F slur and throws him out of the bathroom. And um,
good
yeah,
shit.
oh god, he is so in fucking he's electric in this movie. He's just so incredible. He's like the most handsome street trash character of all
Yeah,
time.
he is photogenic for sure.
Yeah, he was a model for a little while. He was like a model for a little while, and he was an actor in other people's movies before he was finally like, okay, I'm just gonna make my own shit now.
Also,
And
yeah, I'm sorry, but
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like the girl is also hot. What's her name?
Christina Ricci, yeah,
Yeah,
dude, oh, she's so sexy in this movie. She's just like this beautiful big titted retard. Like her
yeah,
tits just completely bouncing around the entire movie. It opens with her at a tap dancing class where her boobs are just jumping up and down as she's trying
yeah,
to learn these steps. um yeah, and she's, oh god, yeah, she's sensational. Her complete loving adoration for him, which is 100% sincere and not ironic at all. Yeah, it like breaks my heart. It's so pure. She's genuinely an angel in this movie. She's just
yeah.
like she's just like the purest, most angelic light or whatever. And her job is to love him, and that's literally her purpose. It's just to love him and relieve him of his internal torment.
Yeah, I forget. Like, it's because like nobody like cares about him, right? I think that's a general sense.
Yeah, he's spent his whole life internalizing the trauma or whatever that his parents have dealt him, the shitty hand he's been dealt in life, and his own personal mistakes in life. He harbors them, and he resents other people for them instead of taking personal accountability. So he's just like this this totally self-loathing raw nerve of a person who just hates himself and hates everyone around him, and will not relinquish himself from his own bullshit. But then he meets her, and she is the one person who will not leave him, who sees his beauty and sees what he's capable of beyond his psychotic rageaholic fits. She sees the sensitive boy inside that has just been beaten been beaten by life. So yeah.
Yeah, she sees that he's really good at bowling. This is what is because yeah. Does he have any skills? I don't like. I think it takes across one day, so there's never really a point where he's like shown to be competent or something. Like she just, I guess, loves him for who he is.
No, he's like a good bowler. That's about it.
Yeah,
You kind of get the impression, because after they have their dinner with their family, which is a fucking nightmare. Um,
yeah,
he takes her to a bowling alley, and like he knows the guy who runs it, and he can actually like drop the front with him. He's just like, yeah, she's just some chick I met, and
yeah,
they kind of reconnect, and they're like, you're my friend, right? Yeah, you're my friend, man. And I kept your locker for you and all this stuff. And you just get the impression that when he wasn't getting beaten into the dirt at home by his parents, or being humiliated at school by girls who rejected him and all this shit, when he wasn't dealing with all of that, he would go to this bowling alley, and that's where he was truly free and truly in the zone and able to be himself. And you see him just getting strike after strike. He's fucking nailing it, and it's because he's back to his most comfortable place where he really was free.
okay, yeah, 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 yeah. And he's just like doing cool shit, and it's kind of interesting. Like, does she do well at bowling? And then he's just kind of like, we gotta go or something.
Yeah, it's funny because
Yeah.
he something happens where he's like in the zone, right? He's in the zone. He's getting a bunch of strikes. I just rewatched it this morning. He's in
Okay.
the zone, and the machine jams up, and he can't. He's got to wait for his friend to go back behind there and fix the pins. So while he's doing that, she gets up, and she kind of like sticks her tongue out at him, and she's kind of like, she's kind of
Yeah.
playfully like poking fun at the way he's been acting or whatever, because he's been like, pumping his fist in the air, getting super excited. But then she just wanders over, and the spotlight comes down, and then she does that tap dance to the King Crimson song.
Yeah.
And then
Iconic.
once it's what yo dude, oh, I guess, yeah, I'll just let everybody know I'm a big crybaby, and I get moved to tears very easily by art, and I was just crying during that entire dance.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just so moved by it. And she finishes her dance, and she waddles over to him, and he just goes, "Stop that! What are you doing? What are you dancing? Like, knock
Yeah.
that off!" you know. And she kind of they kind of have this funny back and forth, and eventually he gets her to try it herself. He's like, "Oh yeah, you think you're so fucking good? Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? Tough shot, big shot, come on." And she does it, and she gets a perfect strike, and he goes, "All right,
Yeah.
let's fuck this kind of thing."
Well,
And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, his ego gets bruised, but I forget if it's before or after. I do like his line when he's in the photo booth, and he's like, we gotta look like we're happy, and he just
Yeah, we
keeps
gotta look
fucking
like we're
it up.
spanning time, and
Yeah,
you
I think
like
that's
me.
I think it's the favorite part of the movie for me was that moment. It was fucking hilarious.
That whole sequence is
Yeah.
amazing. He's just like, please just look at me like you love me, you know, like you just like me, and we're just a happy couple, and we're just spanning time together. And he has to,
Yeah.
in this very spurgy way, he has to keep reiterating over and over because he's been hurt by so many people in his life. He has to like reiterate, like, please do this thing I'm asking you to do for me. Please don't fuck me. So he, in this crazy spurgy way, he's just like, please just do what I'm asking you to do. Span time with me. Sit still. Don't be funny. Don't do this thing. It's for my parents. He's he's still
His
trying to like
parents who
get the
fucking hate his
approval.
guts.
Yeah, he will never get their approval. They will never love him truly. Like she literally, dude, the mom literally says, "I wish I never had him because then I could have gone to that fucking football game."
Yeah.
So like, but he is so desperate to get some sort of love and approval from them that he's obsessively still doing these cons and putting up these fronts and all this stuff.
No,
Um,
I think like you're correct. Like there's all these emotions, and I think it's very autobiographical. Whatever the word for that. And
it feels like it.
yeah, and at least to me, there's like points where I wouldn't necessarily it's to the work's detriment necessarily. The movie needs to be what it is for like, but at
Mhm.
least for me, like, as iconic as like the tap dancing is, like stuff like that, or like the dad singing, or like the family dinner taking like half the movie. This is probably it's intrinsically built in. It needs to be there, but at least for me, like it kind of bored me. Like I was like, why are these parts here, or like why are these parts taking so long? But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think he should have like changed it necessarily because I think it was like a very personal thing for him. Maybe
Well,
I'm just reading too into it.
strangely enough, I kind of remember having that same feeling when I first saw it in high school. Like
Mm,
I remember loving it, but when I didn't have uh I wasn't able to quite anticipate it. I wasn't quite able to understand where it was going. So I was like, wait a minute, is this whole movie just about like a family dinner? Like I wasn't quite
uh,
gr- uh I was grooving with it, but also I was being kind of like cautiously on the ride or whatever. And now I'm so used to it, I'm so familiar with it that I'm just in love with every section of it or whatever. And it is surprising how long that section goes on for, but it really does nail um it really
awkward family
hammers in
dinners.
all the right. um
Yeah,
and
it's good.
and
Like
like the
it's
movie,
super realistic, like well written.
right. And like there's a couple parts that to me I was like, maybe it might seem almost obvious to have a scene play out in this certain way. um but but by having it presented in a literal way, it's really painful actually.
Yeah,
And it's classical in a sort of way. Because like they leave that dinner, and it ends with the both parents and Billy standing in the doorway for a second, and there's just this silence. Like, are we supposed to say goodbye to each other or say
oh
I love you or
yeah, and
something?
they love the daughter, but he's just like
Yeah,
leaving.
yeah. Well, yeah, and the
He's gone.
mom, but
He's a
right,
ghost.
the mom just turns around. The dad just kind of leaves too. They both just go to their separate places. And, there's something very kind of obvious about that imagery, but it's very classical in the way, and just like by presenting it in its total earnestness, it just made it painful. It just made it too real actually to see someone genuinely be like betrayed emotionally by their parents like that. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. I could totally see that for somebody where like, yeah, it was just his life on screen, and it was sad in a sense. And also like, yeah, like and I think this ties into the ending too because I really like the ending where um like he goes into the strip club. He's gonna like I guess I forget if he owes money to someone or something, but he really no yeah like he wants like he's part of this. He bet on horses or something, and then he owes money to the mob, and they put him in
He yeah,
jail.
he bet for some idiotic
Oh
reason,
no, he
he
bet on the
bet
football
10
game
grand on yes.
because he
Yep.
wanted to please his parents. That's what it
Yes.
was.
Yep. And there's a great scene with the bookie played by Mickey Rourke who's just
Yeah,
like, "Let me tell you this story about this total fucking moron who spent $10,000 he didn't even have."
yeah,
And he's like, "Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do something very, very evil, very evil and bad to whoever did that and their mom and dad, unless you go to jail
yeah,
for me and take the fall for this guy." And surprisingly, he does this, he goes to prison. And instead of taking any accountability for himself, he blames the football player who lost the game.
yeah.
So again, a part of this not being able to own up to your own internalized, misery and torment, he blames other people. He blames this football player. So he tracks the football player down to his own personal strip club because he's just going to murder him and then kill himself. He's going to go full incel raid
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
and
That's
murder him.
right. Yeah. But yeah, I think like one of the main things I like thinking about it is like I think maybe one of the main lessons is don't just please your parents because again I was because the whole death scene where he like there's a really poignant point where like he he shoots the guy and then he gets shot and then he's just like lying in a grave, he's like dead, and then his parents just don't give a fuck about him, it's like his mom's watching the game on the radio, and I don't know what the fuck
Yeah.
his dad is doing, but
The dad's just sitting there pissed. He's like, "Hun, it's 2 o'clock. I'm getting hungry. Aren't you hungry?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm hungry." And they just get up and leave.
yeah. So it's one of those
So
like
they,
your parents I think do care about you, but at the end of the day, it's still your life and you need to like make the decisions that are like best for you.
yeah, 100%. It's about that, and it's about um just turning the other cheek, learning to walk
Yeah.
away and embrace love. Like I was saying kind of in that jokey tweet, but succumb to love. You have to obviously certain situations call for retribution or whatever, but sometimes it's best to just give up anger and give up hatred and just allow love into your life and allow it to nurse you and and uh and save you from your own bullshit.
That's what I liked about the yeah, because yeah, that's what happens at the end. Like you think he dies, but he doesn't actually die. It was all in his mind, and he chooses
Mhm.
to not be a fuck up, and then he gets to fuck Christina Ricci for the rest of his life. So that's cool. Very dope.
Yeah, and you get that really emotional, beautiful sequence where he you've never seen this guy happy the whole movie, really. Like
Yeah,
even when he was playing, even when he was bowling, he was just. Sorry, one second.
cat problems, I guess.
Yeah, I know, my fucking cat. Uh, so even when he's bowling, he's just kind of in the zone. He's getting back into his what makes him happy or whatever. But when he comes out of that strip club and he calls his best friend, you see a genuine smile, you see genuine enthusiasm and light. He feels like a lighter person, and he's just like, "Ah, man, like like I just ran into that guy, and like what was I thinking?" And and actually you can't have my locker. All that shit's mine. And
Yeah,
he's like, "I got a girl in my life, dude. How about that? And she fucking loves me. Isn't that fucking crazy?" And it's just like, it's
dude.
so life affirming and so beautiful that he has this complete turnaround, and just allows himself to be saved, and like continues that, and he goes into the donut shop and he's treating other people, other strangers, with love and kindness and respect. He's just like, hey man, you want a fucking cookie? You got a girl? I'll give you a cookie too. You give it to your girl, okay? And like gives the donut guy a tip and all this stuff, and he gets her the hot chocolate she's been wanting the whole fucking movie, and
Yeah, it's a
it's
good
just
movie.
beautiful. Yeah, man. It just has
A
the
good ending.
end over
Good
an
ending.
image of them holding each other.
I'm sorry, I meant good ending. I meant good ending. I thought the movie in general was all right to me. I thought
Hmm.
I liked the ending. I thought it was good, but at least for me personally, I think a couple. It just got a bit too boring at parts for me, so I just give it
I
like it
totally
was
get
all right.
that. I was thinking about how, like, of the list of movies that we were going to talk about, I was like, this is
Yeah,
definitely the slowest one. It's definitely
yeah.
the moodiest and the most patient, and it really takes its time. Yeah, spending, because it's all about the characters and their interactions. It's not really about any super sensational imagery or anything. It's just really nice framing, and yeah, it's definitely more of a mood piece.
Well, I disagree in the sense of I think Baby Invasion is slower. Maybe you can talk it out about Baby
Oh
Invasion.
yeah, no, yeah, we I
Uh,
forgot about that because you thought that was super super slow.
yeah, all right.
Um,
So actually, let's just wrap it up for Buffalo 66. What do you think, Jesse? Like, cause for me, it was okay, but for you, you know,
oh, I mean, yeah, I'm a diehard fan of this. Top five for me personally. You can probably see a lot of this influence in my personal shit. I feel like too.
oh yeah, that was the one thing I did say. Like, I did feel like you were heavily influenced by Buffalo 66 and Soap Scum. I think that, like those two are kind of intrinsically linked. And I think it
Yeah,
was
I
good
can't.
influence. I'll say this: I probably enjoy
Mhm.
Soap Scum more than Buffalo 66. Just my personal opinion, But
Wow.
I like the dialogue better. It was funner, but it's just how I felt. I thought it was cool.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I really I really appreciate that. Yeah, got me cheesing over here. But
yeah.
I can't. I couldn't. I don't even notice it sometimes because that movie is so ingrained into my DNA that the moody sad boy stuff. It just starts it just starts pouring out of me or whatever. And I've definitely cannibalized this
Yeah. But Elvin Segallo, our guy, so like give it a shot. You might like it.
100%.
But all right, so the great debate here. We got to talk about Baby Invasion.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
at least, yeah, to me, dude, that shit is like I don't even know if like slow is the correct word. It's just like I'm watching a live stream and nothing is happening. That's
uh, yeah. Okay. So the first time I watched it, I definitely had I was definitely having those feelings too. Not to the extreme that you were, because I was super engaged by the visuals. I was just
mm,
super interested in where they were going, and I just thought they were uncanny and interesting. Um, and I could see that he had finally come into fruition, this concept that he had been trying to achieve of making of merging the two mediums, right, of cinema and video games and stuff. So I was just super into it in that sort of way. Um but yeah, the first time I watched it, I was like, man, some of this is like really really slow. Like we're not really going anywhere. um, but then the second time I watched it, and movies are always faster the second time you watch them.
yeah.
I could actually see a lot more coordination in it, and I was actually a lot more surprised by um, how much thought was actually into coordinating and staging certain scenes or whatever. Even though, yeah, most of it is just this totally almost improvised sort of feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, I just I can see where you're coming from, but like I'm just like nah, dude. Like there's great elements about it. I think Harmony Korine has great aesthetics. I think the suits look dope as fuck. And I was like, from when I heard this setup, I was like, I'm in, dude. Like, Like you got the baby face, you got the people going into people's homes, you got like the suits, they look cool. I'm like, I don't know anything
Yeah,
about this
did you
movie, but I'm
like
sure
that
it'll be
imagery?
yeah. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I was like, oh, Twitch stuff. Okay, this is gonna be hella fly, you know. And it's gonna be interesting because also we got to talk about Spree, but I think that did the 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 Twitch chat stuff way better or social media, whatever it was. But
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too.
yeah, but for like
I think
Baby
I may have mentioned
Invasion,
that.
I was just like, I can see like you're doing tech stuff. I guess it's cool and there's like cool things about it, but it's just I can't even tell you like a plot point. Like I don't even like it just happens. Like I guess it would be cool if it was an AR video game, but like I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say there's no plot in this movie. Like there's just nothing to hang
Yeah.
on to.
Yeah, the only sort of thread you get whatsoever is a framing device at the very beginning of the movie where
Yeah,
they interview the Japanese creators of the Baby Invasion video game,
yeah,
and they kind of establish like, you know, oh, it's going to feel like a weird hybrid of real life and video games, and you're not going to really understand the difference or whatever, which is really just a mission statement, of the
yeah,
movie. And the movie doesn't really work as a movie. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because it's just this weird uh expression of sensibilities, and it's not, and since it's trying to be this weird hybrid thing, it's just like it doesn't function as a movie, um
I think you
which
told
is
me
so.
that like he DJ stuff and like he switches stuff up like when he does it live. So maybe
yeah there
there's something there.
Yeah, there were live screenings of this in New York where he would um DJ and remix and play scenes completely out of order and randomly on the fly. It's just so that it would really be this sort of like almost like an EDM experience or whatever. And yeah, that is kind of the vibe you get from the movie, is that the order of these things don't really matter. I mean, to some degree, he'll establish sort of some sort of visual motif, and
Yeah.
then he'll keep expanding on it, so in that way there is like a linear progression. But for the most part, it's like nothing that happens really matters. There's no characters, there's no talking really. It's just like a couple break-in stories intercut
Maybe
with like crazy CGI and just random video game visuals.
I can't tell if like this is like going too far into non-conventionalism
Hmm.
because like uh yeah like I'm just like there's nothing like you think there'd be kills. There's no like kills shown on screen. It's really fucking weird. Like they just walk around and then they just kind of like I don't know, smoke blunts and eat food. It's really I thought like at the beginning when he like takes a shit and then it's like baby invasion. I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna do cool first person shit. And no, not really.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't really. And I think you mentioned Hardcore Henry as a really good
I was just about to say
example of
that.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, Hardcore Henry is really good. I love that movie,
I
and
thought I thought it was
that's
pretty good. I didn't think it was like amazing. I thought it was like an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. But I think it definitely does the first person thing way better than Baby Invasion.
yeah. I don't take it too seriously. Just like I just think it's like a really fun movie to throw on.
Yeah,
And there's a really great sequence that blows my mind where it's like a slow motion music video sequence to the drums of him getting like a lap dance. For some reason, I fucking I kill for that.
in
But
Baby Invasion or Hardcore.
in Hardcore Henry,
I remember there was like a bunch of naked strippers. Yeah, in first
yeah,
person. Yeah, okay, was that? Yeah, that was
um,
definitely that was cool. That was very cool.
yeah, just the way, and that is obviously like a Hollywood movie. It's actually trying to deliver conventional pleasure. It's trying to give you an experience that still feels reminiscent of a movie. Whereas this is just like it doesn't care if you like it doesn't care what you think about movies, it doesn't care what you it doesn't care about what you think about any of this shit.
I don't,
Um
it just
but
feels like post like someone was like, "Yo, I wrote a post writing book," and then they give you the book
Mhm.
and it's just blank pages, and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess that is post writing. Like, I guess this is a post movie. I guess nothing's
Yeah.
happening in the movie."
Hmm.
So that's how I feel
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
it's it's definitely more of like an experiment, but I think it's interesting because even since Spring Breakers, he's been
Yeah,
trying to achieve some sort of weird, yeah, just weird combination of the two elements or whatever. And because there's like gamified sequences in Spring Breakers almost where,
yeah,
like the girls clear the entire mansion and don't get hit and all this stuff.
yeah,
Um and then, you get to Aggro Drift, where he's teamed up with Edgelord to try and actually accomplish this weird visual hybrid that he's hoping to achieve. When and Aggro is like it's just like this weird infrared sort of thing where it still kind of feels like a harmony movie, but he's starting to experiment closer into repetitive dialogue and mantras and character work and like 3D models and shit. And then so I felt like he was like on the cusp of where he was trying to reach. And then this to me it just felt like, okay, so this is where all along you've kind of been trying to hit. You've been trying to hit this really weird sort of thing that doesn't quite work, but I can kind of see exactly like what's been locked in his head for so long.
yeah. I think I might have to check Aggro Drift because it seemed like it was a bit more normal. I don't know, but it does.
Yeah,
It
I'd be
does.
curious.
I love the infrared for sure, though. I love the infrared.
Yeah, some of the photography in it is really stunning. I would definitely be curious what your thoughts are on that. You'd probably like it more than this. Definitely, there's more.
Well, I don't know. I just been thinking that
Mhm.
for future stuff, we might be copping some of that infrared aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? But
what
I
What do
don't.
you mean, like
Yeah,
or should?
yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but just in
Okay,
case.
okay, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Hell
think
yeah, dude.
I think that shit's really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm definitely I'm definitely curious. Yeah, more of your expansive thoughts on
Yeah,
that, but
we'll talk
yeah,
after the podcast. But
absolutely. Yep.
okay, because we got to talk about uh because you opened up this podcast. How the fuck does this connect to cousins?
Okay, okay. So I thought, when I first heard Cousins, I was like, what is the function of this song? Like, what
Okay,
you know what I mean? It just
yeah,
made me look at like what a song does, what it means, and what its purpose is. And you could almost say it's more successful than Baby Invasion because it is actually mimicking the format and style of an actual song. Like Cousins, you can listen to, and it almost sounds like a banger song. Well, I mean,
yeah.
it is a banger song. Let's
It's
get out of the way. It's a
100%
great song.
awesome song.
Yeah, but so structurally, and sonically, it is a song, and it has a listenability to it. So it has a function to it. But unlike most songs, you can't sing it out loud really. You can't like bump it in your car, or you're doing something transgressive and funny and kind of and weird almost. And like for a couple days I was like, "Honey, I'm going to bump Cousins in the car." And she's like, "Don't fucking bump Cousins." But
Oh,
I would just bump it because I thought it was funny to be like, "No, I'm going to put I'm like, because I'm like, what is the function and purpose of a song at that point? And and it's really just a pent up expression, right? At that point,
Yeah,
because the song it's about deep trauma, right? It's about something that happened to him, but it's not really supposed to be enjoyed. And Baby Invasion, I just thought it was on the same level or on the same plane in that sense that it's like the function and purpose of it, almost mimics sort of things that you are familiar with, but it's really not serving the function of an actual movie. It doesn't really provide any of the conventional pleasures that those mediums are supposed to provide. So
I
I
see.
just thought when I heard that I was like, oh, I can definitely make some schizoid connection to Baby Invasion here.
I can see what you're saying in the sense like they're not meant to be enjoyed. Um, but I think at least the difference between Cousins and Baby Invasion for me is like I think it's very clear what Ye is talking about. Like there's a story about how he did what he did, and you're like, it's like a really beautiful song contrasted against this like super dark trauma that he's had in his mind this whole entire time.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's in Baby Invasion. Like there's just I can't tell you like because like when like even if you didn't have the song, Gay just saying this, you're like, whoa, what happened? He did what to who? You know, like
Yeah.
with Baby Invasion, like I don't, like, it's just there. It's just like okay, this is a baby game. We just made the. There's nothing for me to be. There's no power to what maybe again I'm looking at the wrong spots. Maybe I don't get it, but I
No,
just
I think you're right. I think that there is Baby Invasion's all about surfaces.
I
There's
can
really
see that.
nothing penetrating about it, and wink wink, and and Cousins, yeah, is literally, yeah, even him just making that statement is artistic and powerful in itself, and almost has more of a almost more of a thesis than Baby Invasion does.
Yeah. I can see what you think about surfaces though, because it's just frustrating because I feel like this movie has a cool aesthetic. There's no doubt that this movie looks fucking cool. I just
Hmm.
wish it was like tacked onto something that I could be like, yeah, this is awesome. That's just it. That's like, yeah, I can totally get the surfaces argument. Like the surfaces, like even the title screen, it looks dope, right? It looks like
Hmm.
Cyberpunk 2077 a Baby Invasion Boo. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be dope. But it's just like I think like the aesthetics are even better than Hardcore Henry. I think Hardcore Henry in some places it looks kind of generic. It looks like you know like a I don't know how to say it, but like a mid indie game.
Hmm.
Like Baby Invasion looks like the real deal. It looks cool. It looks like great curation and like the taste. It's just yeah massive. I'm gonna keep saying the same thing. There's you know
No, I kind of lost track of the first part of your statement there, but I wanted to say that I was I was gonna agree with you. Um,
oh was it the surface? Yeah,
that
you
it
can't see
doesn't.
aesthetics.
I kind of. Oh, I know. I remember.
Okay.
I kind of wish that there was more to it. That there were um something more constructive in its. Yeah, there was something more to it for sure because um he's always been this practitioner of sort of a liquid style narrative
Yeah.
where everything just it flows like a river and it flows like music with repetitions and evolving motifs and all this stuff. And this to me felt almost like a departure from that. It felt uh whereas at least with that there are structured scenes out of order and flowing together, whereas this doesn't even really have like structured scenes. Even it's just it's almost like a silent movie in that way. It's where it's like all impression or something.
You know what? I will say
And
this
gas.
though. I will say this though, because I think Baby Invasion is like the worst movie I've ever seen. But I
Yeah,
will
you
say
told me that.
this. I will say this. The act of watching Baby Invasion in a weird way is more fun than watching like an MCU movie or a Godzilla movie. Cause you're
Yeah,
like what it's so fucking weird, and you're like this is something that's completely different. That it's just it's fun to have the conversation about it. Cause
yeah. That's why I'm like a fanboy because he always delivers some sort of unique visual experience that you really can't quite find anywhere else, and it's usually wholly unto itself, and yeah, is not like anything you're gonna get from conventional movies and shit.
yeah, yeah. I think that's how I'll cap off my feelings on Baby Invasion with. I feel like this is the worst movie I've ever watched, but it was funner to watch it than thinking about watching a lot of other movies. Weirdly enough, but
It's like an exercise almost, yeah.
yeah. But you got any final thoughts on Baby Invasion that you think?
I mean, not really. I feel like we really mind it. I think it's a really interesting visual experience. I definitely liked it a lot more than you did, but
Yeah,
I will agree it definitely lacks in a lot of areas. It definitely is held down from being one of my favorite harmony films by far. You know, my favorites will always be Gummo and Spring Breakers.
okay, yeah. Because okay,
Nothing really tops those.
yeah. So speaking of, I really think we're just gonna transition to Spring Breakers. Dope ass fucking movie. So Baby Invasion, as I said, is the same guy, Harmony Korine. He made both Spring Breakers and Baby Invasion. Spring Breakers, top five movie, easy. 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Fuck it. 10 out of 10. This movie is
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
awesome, dude.
It's a
It
perfect
fucking
movie.
rules.
Top 10 for me for sure. Top 5, top 10 at least. Yeah.
Like the
Easy.
out of the gate, dude. This movie, in my opinion, is like the best shot movie I've ever seen in my life. Every shot looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's so fucking gorgeous. Every single shot is the most candy coated explosion of oh shit. Damn, yeah. Um the most candy coated explosion of like yeah, Skittles euphoria, these cotton candy, pink skies, sunsets, and neon bathing suits, and it's totally off the walls.
Yeah, man. It's just great, and I love the cutting too. Like I know you've been talking about liquid narrative or whatever. This again, I haven't watched a lot of Hormone Korean movies or whatever. I feel like this is just like peak, dude. Like, cause I love the cutting in this movie. It feels so rhythmic. I think he said he wanted it to be cut like a music video or something. It feels
Hmm.
like that. Like the hypest moment in the movie, where like, at least for me, was when the girls go to steal the car, and then it was like I
Oh,
forget what it was. She was like, "Don't be scared. It's like just do it like a fucking movie." That shit was so hype, and then they pull it off, like, and then the car's burning, and they're just like everything's just like hype. They're going to spring. It was just so cool.
yeah, um that's where it really feel because up until about that point it's almost normal.
Yeah,
It's it's kind of fluid, but it's still like one scene leads into the next. And then once they decide that they're gonna rob that restaurant,
yeah,
they it starts to take on the EDM rhythm where in EDM songs like you'll loop certain lines over and over again, so you'll hear characters repeat the same things over and over, and
yeah,
you'll see it from different perspectives, and it all flows and congeals to create one imparted visual message or whatever, or like one scene or something, but you're seeing it in all these ways to create an energy or create a vibe or something. um
yeah,
yeah, and
man.
the editing comes in handy with that for sure.
yeah, it just feels like such a music. I love the cuts and I love all like people complain about the repeated dialogue. I didn't find a problem. I was like, yeah, it's what you want. Like it runs in your mind,
Yeah,
over and over.
it creates these weird mantras, and the more they repeat them, the more like weird significance they take on, and like
Yeah,
in almost a strange spirituality. And it's just the more they loop these motifs over and over, the more they take on, yeah, new meaning. And it's a really like a transformative movie in that way.
yeah, and then also just to sidetrack back into aesthetics, I think I think you said the beginning was boring, but I remember being blown away at the beginning, like just from the start, because like there's this scene that happens in like a college dormitory or whatever, but it's shot in such a well way where like all the laptop screens have like different colors. So it's giving
Yeah.
off this like beautiful Miami neon vibe, but in a college room. Like this is such brilliant shit, dude. Like it looks so freaking good.
Yeah, it is so sensational and so gorgeous. I didn't say boring. I said normal. That
Yeah,
it's just
normal,
like
normal.
because, well, there's the opening Skrillex song or whatever,
Yeah,
that montage of them on the beach, but then it's like, okay, here's college campus, here are these girls, here's Faith, and
yeah.
then once they've kind of established a sort of almost a sort of normalcy, that's when they decide to rob the place, and the editing and the freneticism really picks
Yeah.
up. And uh
It's so funny
yeah.
that you say normal because if I remember correct, doesn't like the movie just open up with like a shot of like a girl's tits like just right there in your face?
I think so. Or like
Yeah,
there's some dude just like grabbing his junk and chugging a beer. And
yeah,
it's the most like beautiful, colorful, like pornographic images of like these like sorority frat kids on spring break. And the girls are sucking on those red, white, and blue lollipops, and there's
yeah.
leering close-ups of their crotches, and their their tits are out, and all the guys are holding the beers, pouring it on them where their dick should be. And just really, really amazing imagery.
I mean, it's just good design. Like every movie I see right now, we have like it's not like Zendaya looks horrible, but it's like, oh, we have to make Zendaya look like the most awful looking human being on the face of the planet. Like they just deliberately make her look bad whenever she's in any top billing movie
Right,
or
we can't
whatever.
sexualize her.
Yeah,
We can't make her look appealing in any way. We just have to
yeah,
put her in every fucking movie and every commercial you watch.
yeah. And in this movie, it was just like we have four hot girls. They're always in bikinis, and it's like it's not even the shot sometimes that makes it. It's just like what you're looking at is intrinsically beautiful in a sense, and you're
Mhm.
because you can have a like if you have a close up of an like conventionally ugly face, you're gonna just get conventionally ugly feelings, right? But like just simple stuff like just having like a close up of like Selena Gomez's face, it just looks beautiful already. You've already won.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the sexiest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure, for
it's
sure.
it's like I can't believe the unabashed, um, just like sexuality behind it. Like
Yeah,
it's totally got a a boner for all of this. It's like he is just fueling his boner. Well, the colors, the sunsets, the girls, the debauchery. He wants to revel in all of it. Because he finds it so sensational. Um,
yeah,
and he kind of does what you like to do. He made this gigantic collage or something, like this gigantic document over the years, and he was just compiling it with nothing but reference imagery. And he didn't even know what he was going to use it for. He just thought he was going to use it for like paintings and shit. But then there was just a point where it was like it was just an overload of sensation and influence that had to be poured somewhere, and it came out in this fucking movie. And I'm so glad it did, because it is like a very distilled, pure product.
Yeah, no, I think I agree on that front in that we're using kind of the same techniques in the sense that, um, yeah, for sure. Like a lot of the what I do, is it's working on a base level in the sense that the foundation is already there. Um, so basically, if you notice in like hate spree and stuff like that, all the guys are clothed, but all the women are naked.
Hmm.
So it's like an intentional contrast from the beginning, right? And it's like choices like that where essentially like the plot can be cyclical, right? And I get that was an issue for some people, but the whole point is, at least in my process, I'm attacking your lizard brain, and like it was very conscious for me that I have to be attacking your subconscious first, and what you are seeing subconsciously before you even read like what's on the page. You have to understand what's on the page, but like before you even can think about what the plot is, the pieces are already attacking you subconsciously in how you're formulating or interpreting the world, right? And I think that's what Spring Breakers does, where you have the hot girls, right? That's already getting you on some level before you even know what the plot is. I think,
Hmm.
at least for me, that's a very powerful technique in terms of directing to how your viewers feel and actually what they're going to experience within the plot, in terms of context.
Yeah, I completely agree that there's some movies really suffer from a lack of any kind of visual cohesion or something.
Yeah.
But and so it kind of it lulls on you in a certain way, and with some movies you kind of just kind of get used to what the as it goes on you kind of just get used to the visual language of it and what it's trying to present. Whereas
But
this, sorry, go
I
ahead.
I think it speaks more to the fact, at least in my opinion, that
Hmm.
foundations matter a lot, like what your idea is. And I think a lot of times people get into this mindset that like technique can save something. But in my opinion, the fact of the matter is that at certain times and points, like what you're trying to describe, there's no plot or technique or like shot that you could actually do to save this movie, right? Like if you have, again, like Zendaya looking ugly or something. There's no shot that you can make that's gonna make it look good, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that's like I think something maybe the right wing needs to learn, or just artists in general, where technique does matter. Like something I think like something that's really well that has a good foundation and then is executed to the highest level, it just makes it so much better, right? I think that's Torque, where the plot is basic, but the execution of it is so well done that it elevates it. Um, but I
Yeah, you
think,
kind of need that marriage.
yeah, but I think a lot of times people will, they'll talk about script writing or blah blah blah, when in actuality, like at what's happening at the base, like your central idea, what we're actually building around with, there's problems with that they can't solve with technique, and I think that's like a lot of what's happening in movies these days.
Yeah, a lot of trying to overcompensate for not actually having any what you said, sort of any some sort of genuine foundation, or something that comes some sort of aesthetic that comes from like a pure place,
Yeah,
or like a or newly realized place.
and I'm just gonna keep rating just for a little bit more because this like, so like, because this just keeps going. Like, you notice how a lot of female designs are like over designed these days. Like they just look fucking weird. Like you'll see like an MCU, there's a million lines on some girl or something,
Hmm.
and that's like, in my sense, using technique to cover. Like if the girl was just naked, like that's just hot, right? She doesn't actually need that many pieces of clothing on her. But
Right.
because we can't do that, now we have to bring in these extremely talented people who like they make good designs. Like the suits are technically good designs. Like the lines flow and they color match, and we have all this stuff where like all the lines flow into each other, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you've over designed something that didn't even need clothes in the first place. And that's not just for like women. I feel like that's for a lot of things in the artistic sphere where, we've just over designed stuff that didn't need to be over designed in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to overthinking. probably your audience and overthinking problems before they even arise. And just the idea that you have to like desexualize something in order to make it palatable when
Yeah,
things were the exact opposite for so long. It's like,
yeah,
no, Tomb Raider was successful because dudes wanted to get like a cardboard cutout of Laura Croft in their room so they could jerk off to it. Like they love, big bouncy tits and stuff. So it seems unnecessary to me, right? To just go in and uh, try and like make something more palatable to people by really denying them what they want.
yeah. I think you've really hit on something where like eh, it's not even just I think like directors like deny themselves what they want. I think that's like kind of the core issue where because of political correctness, directors I don't think they can really make what they want anymore, you know? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, we were talking about Mortal Kombat. Like, do you think, like, Ed Boon really wants the chicks to all be covered up in Mortal Kombat? You really think that, you know? And I'm just like, no, he obviously doesn't, but it's just the milieu that he's being forced to do this shit in.
Yeah, you can see that the the woke virus
Yeah,
has infected even directors who were known for making boundary pushing transgressive content.
yeah,
That now there's like sort of an element of safety gloves on for everybody. Like they're pulling back a little. Like um uh, Eli Roth, who I'm not even like a big fan of Eli Roth, but it's just
sure.
funny to see his early movies where he was intentionally trying to be reactionary by showing you the most aggressive content possible. And now you look at his newer stuff, and he wouldn't dare go to the
Yeah,
extremes he used to. And he even I think for his newest movie, he even filmed some really graphic shit, but just decided not to put it in there because it's like, I just think this is too much for people. They just can't handle it now. And it's like, man, you're just kneecapping yourself. You're just handicapping yourself from an audience of people that are really desiring this sort of content that they're being censored from. And
yeah,
it's just like when you see an artist actually make something that has like life and blood and horniness in it, you're like, oh wow, like art still exists somewhere in corners. Like people still can make can make shit that doesn't fall victim to all this bullshit.
yeah. And I think Spring Breakers is definitely like, I feel like that was like at the perfect time. Everything just kind of worked out and like, it feels visceral, like everything just like pops, you know, and it's just like awesome. I don't know.
Yeah, because when it came out,
Yeah,
there was a little bit of controversy. It was like, whoa, who's this guy? Who does he think he is, getting our sweet Disney princesses in this fucking movie?
yeah,
And that was kind of it. It wasn't the level of vitriol that you saw with the Me Too movement years later. It
yeah,
was just like, whoa, how do we feel about Selena Gomez and Vanessa Hudgens in fucking bikinis? How do we feel about this? you know?
yeah,
But it was kind of just accepted. It was funny because it came out, I think I was like a sophomore or something in high school, and
yeah,
I just like knew people who were shitting on it without even having seen it, because they're just like, oh yeah, the movie about the Disney princesses getting fucked up, and I'm like, yeah, it's fucking amazing. Did you watch it? They're like,
yeah,
no. I'm like, all right, well then don't fucking talk to me.
yeah. There's so many weird things about it. Because I think I talked about you before. Like I remember watching it and at the beginning they have like this whole Christian thing and I was like, oh, so like because I guess a lot of times religiosity is looked down in like mainstream Hollywood and I thought they were just gonna make fun of it, but like midway through the movie like Selena Gomez leaves and she kind of makes the best decision in the movie and it's kind
Hmm.
of played straight and I was like, oh wow, this is like ironically a better Christian movie than like all other Christian movies where like they're making like really shitty like 2000 Christian movies, like back in the day,
Hmm.
like like Flywheel and stuff like that. Just stuff
Yeah,
that
God's not.
yeah, that type of shit. This is like ironically a better version of that, which was kind of fucking weird.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was thinking the exact same thing. And I was like, this is unironically like, yeah, really beautiful in that way. And
Yeah.
it's completely sincere. It's not, I mean, it's a little corny in the sense, and he likes that. He likes that she is a pure, corny person, that she genuinely is a moral character. And the priest, the pastor guy at the beginning, the youth pastor wearing the Ed
Yeah.
Hardy bedazzled shirt or whatever, he's like a pro wrestler, and Harmony just loves him. He just loves him as a character. He's not making fun of him at all. He genuinely like thinks he's an interesting looking guy. And yeah, and I mean, there's a scene where Alien, we haven't even gotten to James Franco, but
Yeah.
Alien Alien literally asks her, what does your name mean? Is your name Faith because you believe in God?" And she
Oh
goes,
yeah.
"Yeah." And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, the movie is 100% telling you what she represents, who she is as a character, and it's about how, you know, these white girls who like watch, these extreme, you know, uh, like hood videos or whatever, these world star rap videos and shit. They want to live an exciting life, but
Yeah.
it takes someone who's completely morally bankrupt in order to thrive in that sort of life. And she, as a person of faith who is genuinely pure and religious, is not morally bankrupt and cannot hang out with these degenerate black people. So,
Yeah.
he takes her to a pool hall, and the other, everyone's like, they're like ducks in water, but
Yeah.
she doesn't want to be near it or around it, because it's literally, it's debilitating to her moral spirit, and she has to go. And when she leaves, Faith itself leaves the movie, and
Yeah.
we just start going down a moral downward degenerate trajectory.
It keeps going like yeah, it keeps getting darker. People start getting shot. Uh
Mm-hmm.
so
Gang turf wars start
it's
to break out. And
it's interesting because like I think one of the things is like I guess it's debatable. I think some people have compared like the James Franco character to Satan, but um
yeah, I never
mid,
really saw it like that.
midway through the movie though, like he goes like, "Oh, these girls are like my mermaids or whatever." Maybe I have the thing wrong,
No, I
but
was gonna bring that up. I'm glad you mentioned
yeah,
that.
because I was like, okay, taking in the fairy tale of like mermaids, like it seems like the girls kind of drag James Franco to his death, considering
They
that
do.
like he, yeah, and then like midway through, like they make him suck on the gun cock or whatever,
Yes.
which is
Okay, that is
crazy.
so crucial. Okay, so okay, we that you overloaded my brain. I was like, oh, so excited for a second.
Yeah,
Um. Okay, so yeah, they they're like these sprites. They're like these pixie sprites. They're so beautiful. And yeah, he calls them these mermaids, and really they are, they have their own, yeah, like moral objective, which is just to indulge in the most extreme like gangster fantasy or whatever.
yeah,
And you think for a while that he is dominating them, that he has completely made them, like his tricks or whatever. Like they're his girls now. And really it's during the scene where he where they force him to suck the gun, that it's established like, no, these girls are actually a lot more dangerous than you think. They're actually playing you. They actually have this sort of, this need for this crave for sex and violence that is not being satiated, and that's why they're with him. Like that's why they came to spring break, to get that ultimate fantasy fulfilled. So he's like, yeah, y'all my bitches, all this shit. And then they pull the gun on him, and they go,
yeah,
oh yeah, yeah, what's up? Oh yeah, you think so? And they use, the this power, this phallic object, this power, it gives them this power to to like be a man and put him in his place, and you think like, oh, actually they're in charge, but then
Yeah.
he starts filleting the gun, and it's like, all right, all three of us are actually the most like debased unit. Like he wants to be with them. Once he starts filleting, he takes his submission into a willing submission and allows them all to be this fucking psychotic unit of pure love.
Yeah, and I think it continues the through line further because like he gets into like a threesome with them, and you think he's just fucking them, but at the end of the day, they're like, so are you gonna kill this guy? Why are you such a like a pussy? Are you like afraid? So like
Hmm.
they kind of egg him on to like his own death, and
Yeah, they keep calling him a scaredy pants, and,
yeah,
and he's just like, all right, yeah, I'm a scaredy pants. Like you got me. But
yeah,
they just want that ultimate sensation so bad that they're willing to put him through it. And that's why it's amazing that when they go to kill that guy, he dies immediately.
yeah. He just
He
gets
gets
one off.
the first bullet, the first shot of their grand, video game ending where they finally achieve what they've always wanted. He's not able to make the cut. He's not actually as morally bankrupt as they are. He's
Yeah,
not able to bridge, the realm of being on this side of morality to the next. He can't make it, so he gets eliminated instantly. And since these girls truly don't have that, they're able to cross the bridge, enter the zone of pure violence, and own it completely.
yeah, and I think maybe this is just my reading, but I guess the movie is like seeing how much degeneracy you can take until you come back home, I guess. Because it's kind of like a game show in the sense that Faith leaves first, and then I forget the other girls' names, because um,
Hmm.
but
That's
they
Harmony's
each,
wife.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Ms. Green, Mrs. Green, Mrs. Green comes home
Yeah,
next
all
after
respect to Mrs. Green.
yeah, after she gets shot in the arm, and then like it seems like I forget who are the other two girls. I don't know their names. Crazy
Vanessa
bitches.
Hudgens and I think Ashley Benson. She was like a
Okay,
little she was a Pretty Little Liars girl.
okay. Hudson and Benson. And there's a shot in the movie where they're talking to their moms, and they're like, "I'm just gonna go back home from spring break, and I'm gonna be a good girl now." And I think that's like played out of order, and that happens maybe after they shoot everybody. Maybe I'm wrong, or they are that like they want to go home before. It makes more sense to me for them to do those calls after the shooting, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where the placement is, but I do kind of I think you're kind of right that it would make some sort of sense that after that, but also
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense that if they think they're gonna die, that they would have one
Uh.
final call back to their parents.
Yeah. That's
Um,
true.
I was watching the commentary, and he thinks they're being earnest when they make those phone calls,
Yeah.
and it is a little funny because they've done so much horrible shit, and they're just like,
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna go home and I'm gonna focus on school and like be good and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it is
And then they
earnest.
shoot up, and then they shoot up everybody.
Yeah, they killed like
Yeah.
they killed like 20 people. Yeah, it's nuts.
But yeah, as like a game show, it seems like maybe I'm like after they kill everybody, they're like, yeah, maybe this is a bit much. And then like I guess spring break is like hell, and then like going back to normal life is going back to a normal life where you're not killing everybody and doing ridiculous shit. But that's just my read on it.
Yeah, I kind of saw it as like they're like entering the underworld,
Yeah,
and he's I never saw him really as the devil. I just saw him as this guy who thought he was the guide of the underworld, and he just took them on this tour,
well, that's
and
what people on Reddit were saying. So
that he's the devil.
yeah, like
I mean, that's a
the
pretty standard kind of
he
you
was
know.
James Franco with the devil, and the black guy was like God because he was like in a bubble bath, and the bubble bath kind of resembled clouds, and like yeah, a couple
Yeah,
of dialogue
I
lines,
don't
stuff
know
like that.
about that. I don't. I don't think
Yeah,
I buy that really. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I really buy that one. I will say though, when they get released from jail because he bails them out,
yeah,
and they come out of that the garage of the police station, there is an ethereal, heavenly sort of and it's intentional, a sort of heavenly glow and a sort of a dust that picks up that does kind of resemble uh like a fog or or a cloud or something. So but that's more so like we're entering another realm. It didn't feel to me like we're strictly dealing with heaven and hell dichotomies. And I
Yeah,
feel like people mainly are just grasping at that because, her name's Faith and, there are religious elements, but I don't think it's
bro.
nearly as clear cut as that.
Bro, some people like I think are retarded. Like they were like, "Oh, Faith is actually a bad character because she didn't want to hang out with black people," and that's like they're calling out the hypocrisy of Christian racism. And I was like,
No, those people are wrong. Those are the woke idiots who the movie is not meant for.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
was like,
not, no.
because at least it felt to me like there was a very visceral danger because it wasn't just they were black. It was like these guys are like actual gang banging criminals. You should
Yeah,
be
and
afraid in that
Harmony
situation.
100%, dude. And Harmony literally just took them to the hood. Those are all
Yeah,
real people who easily at any point could just like be horrible,
yeah,
but they were very apparently friendly and welcoming and brought them in. But like Selena Gomez, like genuinely feeling uncomfortable, that's probably real.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. In some way.
like that's all, that's all true. And what you were saying about it almost feeling like a game show, yeah, that ties in with the who, it's only the most morally bankrupt that are cut out for this. So
Yeah,
Faith leaves first, and then the one girl gets shot in the arm, and then it's just the two girls who tried to make aliens submit to him. So that it makes the most sense that they're the ones who are left behind in the end who accomplish the mission.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Sure. Yeah, yeah. Fuck the people on Reddit. But I also gotta
Yeah,
say, what like I think I talked about the first shot with the like my favorite part of the movie was when they go to steal the car, but like definitely like one of my favorite shots in the movie is like the garage scene where like they go out of prison and it's like pitch black and then like the garage door opens. Dude, that shit was like so cinematic, dude. I love that. I love
yeah,
that shot so much because it feels so natural because they're
yeah.
walking into the garage and then it opens up like it feels so naturally. It's so unique at the same time.
Yeah, the timing is so is it's like poetic. It's really,
Yeah,
really fluid and beautiful. And yeah, it's just him on that fucking decked out car and it's
yeah,
got like, gold dollar sign rims and like
yeah.
it's just fucking nuts. Uh yeah, all the imagery of Alien really blows my mind in this movie. He's just like, oh my god, he's so electric. Just every time he's on screen, I'm just like mesmerized by him.
Yeah, it was a good performance. It was a good performance. It was like I think people like talk shit about actors for no fucking reason. A lot of times they're like, "Oh, this guy wasn't that." James Franco was fine. He played the role. Like it was good. It was a good performance. You know.
Hmm.
I think people just like seem to hate on shit. Like just to hate on shit. Like I think I've talked. Maybe I haven't. Like Transformers. Like Megan Fox. She acts fucking fine. You know. Like I don't get what
Yeah,
people
yeah,
like. People were like hating on Megan Fox. But, like she plays the role of like the your high school fucking crush. It makes sense. Like yeah, James
yeah.
Franco is doing a great job.
Hmm. And people really like to dunk on him because he went. He likes to call himself an artist. He's like proud. He's proud to say that, and he he's a painter and a writer. He's published books. He's directed a ton of movies. Actually, there was a
Mhm.
few years there where he was just like cranking out movies. He was directing like two or three movies a year. He was just like on
Damn.
fire, and then he got canceled. So
Yeah.
but he was always a guy that people like to kind of ridicule for being a self-proclaimed artist.
I don't know. Yeah, he good. Good. Like every single line, I was like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Like he sounds gangster. Which is kind of surprising. I don't know how good he is, but like, yeah, everything was good. Great.
Yeah,
Great shit.
I've worked with guys who sound and talk just like that, who act like that. It really was, I felt, a pretty incredible rounded performance. I thought he really nailed it.
And I feel like we've seen actual amateur work. We've seen stuff where the acting isn't that good, especially on the right wing side. I feel where like it's just not good, and like James Franco is definitely a step up above like all that for sure.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
amateur
he's
work.
a gen he brings genuine authenticity to an otherwise, like, what seems like it could be a caricature or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, when you it's like if you were to try and actually discover right-wing movies, you're just going to find a list of really obvious kind of faith-based stuff where the acting, none of the acting really matters, and
yeah,
people didn't really put a lot of personality into it. And you really got to kind of find movies that don't say they are, but then you look and you go, oh, actually, realistically,
yeah,
like Paul Verhoeven movies. Almost every single Paul Verhoeven movie is a Christian parable where his lead hero is just Jesus Christ.
okay,
so so it's like, yeah, you can enjoy. It's like if you were to look up Christian movies, I don't think RoboCop would come up, but it's like, yeah, fucking RoboCop.
yeah. It it's really interesting too because by the end, like by the end, James Franco gets shot, and I was like, damn man, I kind of wanted him to live, which is kind of weird considering he was like a gangbanger. But I was like, ah man, I kind of wish James Franco lived. He was kind of cool near the end,
Yeah.
where it feels like he's just being led to his death by these two girls, and you're just like, oh man,
Well, you kinda and that's what's great about the movie is that there's really, there's, like, these really sympathetic, beautiful moments where
yeah,
you see the humanity in these characters randomly, like, just the whole and he's so likable, right?
yeah,
But the instance of him being like, "Oh, y'all wanna see my sensitive side," and he starts
yeah,
playing fucking Britney Spears on the piano, you're like, "Who is this guy?" There's a total history and a soul there. Um, and it's like, yeah, you don't really wanna see any of these people die or necessarily even get their comeuppance in some way, but that is kind of the interesting dichotomy of watching people, uh, who are beautiful and childlike doing things that are very grotesque and horrible.
yeah, sure, man. Like, uh, totally agree. That's like the Britney Spears. Like, yeah, every single moment of this movie is fucking awesome. Like the piano part, like it's just all great. And like him, like just stuff like him doing, was it the Little Chicky song where like one chickie leaves and it's based off of what that is happening in the story. That stuff's good. Uh,
Yeah, dude. Had to catch myself from singing it just now.
yeah,
So good.
yeah, yeah. And like there's
Yeah,
just
that's a
other cool stuff like I think at the end, like because of how they were shooting it at night, like the final scene, all the bikinis and stuff were like glow in the dark. Very smart, very cool. Just had to give a shout out
yeah.
to that. So
Yeah, the just like the blacks in this movie, the
yeah,
skies they're so black, they're so rich, and in total contrast to those crazy neon colors. It's just like really, I mean, it's just really stunning, striking photography that you can't really find anywhere.
yeah. But yeah, good story. I mean, I think we both agree Spring Breakers top five, one of the best movies of all time.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I guess we can move on to, let's just go with Detention. I guess because then we're gonna end
Okay.
with Eternal Sunshine and Spree. So
Hell yeah.
let's just go with Detention. So general
Okay.
thoughts, I guess.
Wow. Oh, man.
We just
Where
loop
I
back
mean,
from
I
the
don't even
beginning to work. Yeah.
it's like I don't even know where to begin with detention. Uh, it's like this movie. It really became iconic for me in high school. I it just came because I was like the same age as the main characters in this movie when it came out, so I really gravitated towards it, and I showed it to all my friends, and I kept showing it at parties and stuff like that because I was just like I felt like I had stumbled upon something that no one's ever heard of, and I was like I just felt like it was my little secret, and I just wanted to show everybody how cool this thing was. And I would always preface it by being like, like it's kind of like Scott Pilgrim, but if all of the references were more designed around like 80s slasher kind of tropes and stuff like that, as opposed to pure video game nostalgia or something, but with with the constant special effects slapping across the screen and just the rapid pace of it and all that.
Yeah, yeah, I can totally see. Yeah, I totally agree with all that. I mean, it's super fun. I'll say that. Like, I remember just the beginning with how the girl gets killed at the beginning. That's super fun. Like, because you think she's kind of the main character, then she gets fucking killed off. And you're like, oh, and it has all the titles. It has all the Joseph Conisms that you want in a movie. And I think the plot is more fleshed out than Torque. I like Torque better, but I still think Detention is still like, it is an improvement in many ways from Torque.
Yeah, the plot matters a lot actually in
Yeah,
Detention as opposed to Torque. It's the exact opposite in that
yeah,
way, where the plot, despite some of the moment to moment things taking more precedent as far as like the aesthetic experience of it, the plot matters a fuck ton because it involves so much time travel and body swapping and all that kind of stuff, and it uses like a standard high school slasher film as like almost like a format for it to then branch out and do whatever it wants.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly what's and like there's just good elements to it. Like I remember like the whole looping around with like the bear, where like she's the bear fucker at the end. I guess, which is fun.
Dude, yeah, I was watching that with my girlfriend, and the second that clicked, and you realize that she's
Yeah,
actually the girl in the photo, she's like, "No way!" It that is a really great moment because she says in the beginning, she's like, no one's the only one who's a bigger loser than me is the girl who got caught blowing the bear mascot, and then it turns out to be her.
yeah. She's
So
the bear
there really
mascot.
is no bigger loser.
And yeah, there's just so many elements of like I haven't watched it yet, but I suppose like Scott Pilgrimy kind of stuff where like they're taking the slasher, but it feels like updated. And this is what I like. I like stuff where, as you said, where it's like a slasher, but we're doing it different. Like I think I watched like Tarantino was saying the same thing with Death Proof, where he was like, we're doing a slasher, but it's in his own way, right?
Hmm.
Too many. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but too many things in the right wing are here's a western. What's special about? Oh, it's just a western. It's just a really good western, but it's just a western. And it's like, then why are we here, bro? Like, what? Where are you in this? I know you like more things than just what other people say you should like, dude. You know?
Right. But they think that's like some kind of classical conventional standard to
Yeah,
aspire to or something, but it's just not very interesting.
yeah.
And
And every movie I think we feel like on this list is like an interpretation of how this director works. Like in Detention, there's this awesome sequence where there's a horror movie within a horror movie within a horror movie within a horror movie. That shit was
yeah.
so fucking dope, dude. And it's totally no one else could do it but Joseph Kahn.
Yeah, and like each one of those layers has this like very pointed commentary about that decade of horror film.
Yeah,
So it's like it's so meta, and but just like having complete anarchic fun with blowing the genre up completely and not being restrained by it.
yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah. And then there's just other like smart things where I remember when they're all discussing in the room or whatever of like who's the killer, and then
In the
for
library.
yeah for a split second there's like this guy with the hood, and I was like, was there that guy before? And then
Yeah.
and then it clips to it, and I was like, oh, and then you don't see him in the room. I'm like, and I had to rewind back. I'm like, no, there's definitely a guy with like a fucking hood there. And then like 5 minutes later, they're like, oh, there's actually a guy in the hood. So it was like using camera, just basically a different cut of the shot to like fuck with someone's mind, but like it's like it all made sense that like this because it plays into the guy's story. He's just a guy that's never noticed. Like you don't notice him, but it was
Hmm.
super clever, but also like kind of jarring at the beginning when I saw that.
Yeah, he's such a visual master of the camera. He's just so great at misdirection and tricking your eyes. And I really do love that sequence because they play around, yeah, with where he's sitting and sometimes just pretending like he's not there at all. And
Yeah,
there's a great split-second scene where the main character looks over, sees him, turns away, turns back, and the guy in the seat is the guy who turns out to be the actual killer. So
yeah,
there there is some interesting, like, energy that he kind of wanted for you to feel there, where he wants you to kind of associate that character who turns out to be the killer with the menace of who might actually be a killer. Yeah, really fucking phenomenal stuff.
yeah. In terms of what do you think of the love story?
I
In it.
kind of like it more
Okay.
and more every time I see it, but I'm not like a sucker for it. I don't, I don't think it's like that uh amazing or anything like that.
You know what's weird thinking about it is like it feels like the love story with the blonde girl was better. Or like she's forced to date this guy to like save the world or else it's gonna get nuked. Like that one
Yeah, that's
interaction was
so
fun.
interesting.
And then she trades
Yeah.
places with her mom.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, where she oh my god. I love how flippant and relaxed it is. Like it doesn't bog you down with any annoying jargon to try and make you like fall for it. The mom
Yeah,
literally just goes, "I'm gonna go into your body and you're gonna go into my body so that nobody gets confused." And that's a lot of
yeah,
science mumbo jumbo. We don't gotta talk about all of that. And and then the UFO comes and switches their bodies and shit. And yeah, I really liked how relaxed and flippant that was. And that yeah, it was yeah, almost more interesting than the main girl who's just like this vegan punching bag the whole time who gets made
yeah.
fun of for all of her all of her ideologies and shit.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes reminds me like there's that like I love the thing at the beginning where she's trying to kill herself with the noose, but she can't. And then like obviously the killer cuts her free. That part was good.
Yeah, she hangs herself and like some
Yeah,
kids just walk right by and they don't even look at her.
yeah. But
Yeah, that was super funny.
no, but talking about as I said, like I think you give good movie recommendations, man. Like I remember halfway through we were talking about like I then like they were like, oh yeah, there's time travel and body switching. I'm like they just changed the genre halfway through. They just introduced this halfway through. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah, like it just cuts to in possibly one of the actual like emotional sequences of the movie. All the kids are grieving over the jock's death, and then it just
Uh,
cuts to an alien bear on the planet Starclaw running at a UFO, and you're just like, all right, I guess I guess
yeah,
this movie is going there.
it was really weird, but
Yeah,
for sure it's super fun. It's super fun. I thought like all the actors were pretty good. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I thought yeah,
The screaming coat.
I gotta say, I think the blonde or whoever she was, I think she was the best actor. Maybe I'm wrong, but I forget what her name is.
um,
She was good.
honestly, maybe I was really impressed with Dane Cook for some reason. I just really
Dane
loved what he
Cook.
brought to his character. Do you know who Dane Cook is?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about movies, bro.
He was a big famous comedian in the early
Oh,
2000s.
he was the teacher. Okay, yeah, he
The
was good.
principal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does this weird thing with his cadence where like every other line he'll emphasize like one word. Like he's like, "Oh man, these kids and their Yu-Gi-Oh!" Like
Yeah.
he goes, "This is my school." Like he'll
Yeah.
just like emphasize, just this one word. And I don't know, something about that I just really gelled with. And I love the coach that's always yelling.
Oh,
And
the black coach. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and the one black kid who he's like, "Guys, I'm not a killer. I'm just boring."
Oh, yeah. Does he get
And
killed?
then
I think he lives, right?
I think he does live,
Okay,
but
yeah.
and they go back in time, and then when they come back to the future, he's not boring anymore. He's like the most exciting guy in the world, and he's like a singer of the school band. He's
Yeah.
like on stage doing a full performance.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because he was like the keyboard player or whatever in the band of like the principal,
Uh,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Or he
Hmm.
was in the band. He was cool. Yeah, 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 yeah.
He
Yeah.
sings at prom because the principal's in the audience, but when it shows
Okay,
them
yeah.
rocking out in the garage, he's on the keyboards, I think.
Okay, I'm just confused because it's been a while since I've watched this movie. So
No, that's totally fine. And I just cram watched all of these in a
yeah,
week,
bro, and
rewatching all of them.
yeah, because I just googled and it wasn't the blonde girl that was the best actor. The best actor was the Canadian guy. That guy
Oh,
fucking ruled.
dude, he's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, he's hilarious. And then yeah, he's debating the main character the whole movie. Every time he
yeah,
sees her, he just starts like shouting at her. And he goes, "Rebuttal," you know. And at the end, when it turns out that he's just an alien
yeah.
from other planet and he's gonna take over the world, yeah, that was a pretty perfect reveal.
It was fun. Yeah, his debate was like probably one of the funniest scenes. Like where he's just like he's totally smashing her on all the points. It's just so fucking hilarious the way it's done.
Yeah, and when he's just like, they don't call, he's like, they call it popcorn chicken. They don't call it popcorn cow, or
Yeah.
all that stuff. And yeah, that was really really funny shit.
I guess it's like a reversal because Canadian people are usually seen as like people who say sorry. So I guess it was like a contrast of like a Canadian that like just fucks over Americans.
Yeah, and is just super aggressive and angry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But is Detention one of your favorite slashers or it's just a different kind of thing?
Just a different kind of thing. I just really like it. It's
Yeah.
it's just kind of a movie that I just really love and admire. Really top like 100. You know what I mean? Like I don't. It's not something I think about all the time, and I don't. I do value it very highly, obviously, because I'm a big fan of it. But it's just a movie I love.
Oh yeah, I think I totally agree. I think it's a fun movie. It's got like cool slasher elements, and stuff, and cool Joseph Kahn design. I wouldn't say it's my favorite movie, but it's worth a watch for sure. 7 out of
Hmm.
10, 6.5, somewhere around there, 6, 7, somewhere
Okay.
at least in there for me. It's good. It was good.
Hmm.
Bad, more good than bad for sure. I think.
And I think it just gets. And I just think it's so charming, and I think
Yeah,
the more I rewatch it, the more I find random little details that I didn't notice before. So I find it such a rewarding experience in that way that it's just so much fun to constantly go back and discover new things, or you'll forget about a little detail and see it again and be like, oh, that's so great. And it's just got that Joseph Kahn flair that really drives it.
yeah. I think. I guess I'll come to a better decision once I finally watch Scott Pilgrim because I think that's the movie that this is kind of riffing off of, and I have to see if Scott Pilgrim is good or not, or better than this or something because it seems
I
like
would
that's the same genre.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious what your thoughts on Scott Pilgrim are. I really like it, but I know
Okay.
that a lot of people nowadays like to dunk on it and think it's really annoying, and its quirk, really
Yeah.
really grinds people's gears. But I also haven't watched it in a couple of years, so that'd be kind of fun to go back and uh, and rewatch it and see what each other think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I've read. I'll say this. I read the comic,
Oh,
so
really?
yeah.
The whole
So
thing?
yeah, that's why I never watched the movie because I was like, I've already
Oh,
read the
nice.
comic. Like who? And I remember liking it when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. But like, I think back on what the actual plot points are and like how far society is now with like how we think about stuff and like SJWs. I'm like, would I really like that? Like if I read it again? So
Right,
I'm just
because
kind of scared.
she's like a precursor.
to like she's like an SJW precursor model or something,
Yeah,
like
so I'm
the
just like,
Ramona Flowers girl.
yeah, so I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if I like it, but so that's why I never watched the movie. 'Cause I was like, oh man, I don't think I can do this. But after watching Detention, I was like, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe, we'll see. Because directors can do different things with like the movies and how they were in books and stuff like that. So,
Hmm. It is funny because it's like I think that came out when I was like in eighth grade or something,
mm,
and I just thought like the banter between those two was so real, and I kind of liked how standoffish she was. But now I really don't like that personality type, and
oh,
I've dealt with that so many times with girls who are just like up their own ass and so standoffish that you're just like, all right, what nothing's being achieved here. I just like hate this conversation now. I want to leave it.
yeah,
So I'm curious if I'd rewatch it and be like, oh, I fucking hate this bitch, like, but
yeah.
yeah, whatever.
We'll have to see when we get there. But yeah,
Mhm.
Detention. I think we both agree it's worth a watch. I think it's just fun.
Definitely.
It's super fun. But
Yeah,
all right.
watch Joseph Kahn movies, everybody.
Watch Joseph Kahn everything. His music videos, it's all dope. Like all of it.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, you introduced me to Joseph Kahn. I mean, I've already, I saw Taylor Swift music videos years ago, but you were the one that really showed me that. I was like, this guy is dope, and I was like, yeah, he is dope. This guy is actually really good. He's top, Torque is top 5 movies, man. It's really shot awesome. So I was
Yeah,
happy about that.
he's a cool, like, little unsung hero of Hollywood who's
Yeah,
actually really prolific and has done all this stuff and just I don't really think gets enough attention. So I'm kind of happy that we were able to like spurg about him for for a
yeah.
really long period of time because
Two
I just think he's
movies.
so fucking cool.
Yeah, for sure. 2 movies do this worth it, man. And then I guess I mean we'll see how like he also showed me Power Rangers. He did like a Power Rangers thing. So I thought that was all right for what it was, and had a lot of flair. That was
Mhm.
also pretty cool. So
I'll admit, I definitely hyped that up a little too much in the chat because I was
yeah,
just so excited to be like, dude. And then he also did this. And I sent in, but then I rewatched and I was like, actually, you're right because it's kind of this dated 2010s era, like Freddie Wong, YouTube sort of kind of graphics to it almost,
yeah,
and just like even with the editing, but and the plot is just like super silly, but I just thought it was so entertaining, and I just had this realization like, oh man, if directors with actual personality could get a hold of IPs, it would just make the world a better place. And I would
dude.
just, even if he made just some dumpster fire Power Rangers movie, I don't give a fuck about Power Rangers, but I would go see it because I love him so much, and I would just want another Joseph Kahn visual experience.
I mean, it's not like, at least in my opinion, Power Rangers isn't even that bad. If he actually made a full feature length of that Power Rangers film, I'd watch it.
Mhm.
But I totally agree. Like, this is never gonna happen because Nintendo's litigious as fuck. But I still like, in my mind, want to see like a GTA Mario R-rated shit. I feel like that would be so fucking cool. But
Yeah,
it's
that'd be a
never
lot
gonna
of
happen.
fun.
It's never gonna happen.
I
There's a
know.
there's a lot of cool things that could happen. But yeah. So
The alternate timeline where we
yeah.
get that fucking movie.
I mean, that's what like Spring Breakers is, right? It's like taking the Disney princesses and making them hardcore. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's stuff like you want to see. I think you mentioned in the last podcast where like people for copyright, like now we have Winnie the Pooh. We're gonna make some sick horror movie out of it, and that's just so fun.
Right. We're gonna take Mickey Mouse, the
Yeah,
most beloved of all, one of the most iconic characters in the history of art, and just make it, and just do whatever the fuck we want with it. Just completely degrade him and make him this, whatever we want him to be. We want him to be a psychotic murderer and, dripping bloody fangs and shit.
yeah,
Yeah, I do think that's really fun and ridiculous.
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think we've spoken enough on that. So we're just gonna go
Hmm.
into Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I'm just gonna start off. I'm just gonna start off and say, in this list, this is probably technically the best movie of the bunch
Hmm.
because I think this one has the tightest script, at least personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, it's um and that is 100% due to the script
Yeah,
because Charlie Kaufman is a legendary screenwriter who
yeah,
really does not have like any fat whatsoever in his movies. It's like one line leads to the next line because that is what is integral to the story in order to develop the story forward. It's like you have to have this line go into the next line, sort of thing.
no, yeah,
Even yeah, even if it's going to go into some whimsical extreme places, it's like nothing, nothing is like extra even.
yeah. It's just so flawless. And the other thing is not only is it like flawless, because I could make like a flawless story right now. Man lives and then dies. Right? There's two. It's not interesting.
Yeah,
And not
beginning and end right there.
yeah, not only and there's a lot of people who do make flawless scripts, but they're just boring. Somehow this guy has made a flawless script, it feels like. I'm sure there's some guys, oh no, there's a plot hole here, whatever, I don't care. A flawless script, but also it's like super creative. Like
hmm
like the creativity in this movie was kind of bonkers off the wall how creative it was.
Yeah, there I mean, it almost like the editing tricks in this fucking movie are
Yeah.
so mind-blowing. They're so astounding and creative. Creative is really the best word here because there's never a shortage of ideas and there's always so many of them working in tandem together to create something so surreal and so spot on in its visual representation that it's just flooring. It's so flooring and it's so moving. Yeah, I mean, yeah, shit. I don't even know where to begin with this with
It's
this
like the
movie,
I
dude.
think
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the best maybe like the best dream world I've seen. Where like I remember like the fences they'll just pop off like even it's not just that it's in the dream world but how the things move within the dream world it's like uncanny and then like you'll see like polygonal stuff sometimes that are kind of like early and it like gives off this uncanny feeling and just how things move in the dream world in of itself is super interesting. That
hmm
shit's totally tight.
and since part of it is dealing with memory,
Yeah.
they allowed a lot of like practical things that you don't really think about make it into the editing choices, like the idea of a memory becoming foggy or cloudy or distant in your brain or whatever. Well, they actually visually represent that sometimes by having him completely in focus, but his entire background just this like a white mist, or like you're in a bookstore, you're not paying attention to all the titles and all the spines around you, so it just becomes about what you were focusing on in that moment. So there's like moments where
Yeah.
he's like reliving a memory and all of the signage starts disappearing and all the labels that you wouldn't normally be paying attention to or you would forget about that aren't relevant, they start disappearing and fading away. It's
Yeah.
just like it's so much.
But it's like so like the execution on this shit is like probably the best. Like I don't like think I've seen. Eh, I feel like Michael Bay has pretty good execution, honestly, with a lot of stuff. But this is like it's just top tier execution. Like I don't think I could like stuff like the rain coming in and they're like they have to escape from the rain within the house because of the memory coming in. Like all that stuff is
Yeah,
gold, you know?
yeah, and like I mean, yeah, there's so many great little flourishes and touches. Like he'll he's in his bed and he's like wearing that helmet, and the
Yeah.
helmet is like making lights and shit. And then in the dream world, you'll see like those same lights from the outer world
Oh
penetrating
yeah,
into
that's
that
dope.
shot. It's like, and it's just so it's mind-boggling, honestly. This is also one of those movies where I watch it and I'm like, how the fuck did they make this movie? It's so impressive and so beautiful.
Yeah,
Um,
but like even
yeah.
like the characters too, where I remember watching the beginning of the movie and what's his name? It's is it Jack Nicholson? No, it's somebody else. I forget the main
Which
actor's name. Who's the main actor?
Jim
He's in.
Carrey?
Yeah, it's oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot Jim Carrey. But he like wakes up and he acts like a total pussy, and I was like, oh, I just felt like skipping out of work because I'm like, man, this guy's a loser. Like he's skipping work to like I don't know, and then oh, I found a hot chick. Like wow, like this is
Hmm.
like I thought it was like this is super gay, but then you later find out that it's actually imprinted into his brain. He doesn't go to
Yeah.
work because it's like what he needed to do because he loves his girl so much. And I was like, oh, okay, now this like now it
Yep.
loops back, and then like when you realize it happened, it loops right back to the beginning. You're like, this is like one of the best things I've ever seen in film, actually.
Yeah, it turns out that he's like irrationally compelled to make that decision. And
Yeah,
what's so great about that sequence is that like the inner monologue narrating and what you're watching visually is almost not incongruent with each other. It's like he is very like soft toned and monotone. He's like, didn't go to work today.
yeah.
Decided to, take the train and I've never really done that. Meanwhile, you're watching him make the most impulsive, rash decision to just sprint down this flight of steps and narrowly just barely get onto this train. And you're like, okay, so there is, it's off kilter. There's something that's not quite being delivered here. And then once it comes full circle, you go, oh my god, there's actually
Yeah.
so much intentionality behind every fucking moment. Every character decision, every blink in this movie felt literally like an orchestrated intentional moment. It just felt like everybody was on their fucking game.
It's so crazy because everybody is important to the movie and you don't realize it, but they are, and it's kind of crazy because he like weaves in the subplot with like Kirsten Dunst, and you're like, oh, this is actually important. You thought this was just like some nurse, but like, no, they're all related to the memory thing and blah blah, blah, you know.
And
So
all of
it's
these
crazy.
all of these subplots are like in parallel with each other, and they all feed off each other, and you can compare and contrast them and kind of see what they're trying to say about each other. And but when you're watching it, it just feels so floaty and stonery and just like, but it's so confident. It's so assured of itself, and that it's pulling off these magic tricks. You don't even realize it's doing it. And then on top of all of this pure magistry, it's emotional as fuck.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It's so emotionally brutal and just like devastating. And it's just like that's why it's probably my all-time favorite movie, just because
Okay.
I'm just so floored by everything that it's accomplishing, and managing to still make me just this weepy little bitch.
No, if someone was like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my favorite movie. It's like I get it. I totally get it. Like, because a
Yeah.
lot of people say shit, and they're like, "Oh, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my favorite." I'm like, okay, whatever. But I watched it. I was like, yeah, nah. The hype was like people hyped this shit up. Nah, hype totally warranted. Totally get it. On
Hmm.
board. It's not my favorite movie because it's just like not my aesthetics. I'm kind of like different.
Yeah.
I like more like punk stuff, fast stuff. But there's
Right.
totally get it. Like if you're emotional, like Jesse, if you're a sensitive guy, like it totally like it gets you at your heartstrings. It totally gets you there for sure. Like yeah,
Well, and that's also why I had to expose you to some of these, because like yeah,
yeah,
regardless of like if they connected so much with you, they've had such a crazy emotional impact on me that they define me in ways I can't even quite understand, and maybe in ways that you would understand even better than I to some degree. Um,
yeah.
so that's why I felt like, to really truly understand me on some level, I felt comfortable recommending those to you, because I was like, these, they really kind of speak to this emotional experience that's ingrained in me in some ways. And
But dude, that's
uh
what that's
yeah.
what I want. I want from people to tell me. I don't want to hear, "Oh, what's your movie? Oh, I like The Empire Strikes Back." Like, "Oh, I like Lord of the Rings." The fucking shit. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. Okay, this is like the same five. like fucking movies that I always hear all the time. They're so annoying, and it's just like I really love it when people give me things that they actually like. I'm not saying you have to like weird indie shit, okay? But
Right.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong. I can tell when you actually like something and when you're just telling me something because everybody else has said it, you know. And
Yeah.
I feel like the movies that you like Buffalo 66, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like and even like Harmony Korine with like Baby Invasion, they all speak to a certain essence, and I can see it in your work. Like I can see definitely how Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Buffalo 66. I think they're like some of the biggest influences on Soap Scum. And it's really interesting because Soap Scum isn't like a love story like either of these, but there's like a definite through line in the connection of, how just like dialogue and how characters like one of the things that I really think you're the best at in this scene right now is intimacy within characters. I think how you do relationships is very personal, very good, and I think you can definitely see how Buffalo 66 and Eternal Sunshine is like a connection through line of like the influence of Soap Scum.
Fuck, man. I really appreciate hearing that, and and I'd have to agree with that because it's just, even before I was in love with these movies even before I had the emotional maturity to understand them in their entirety.
Yeah,
It's just like they've all this sort of intimacy and romance and just genuine love, genuine raw presentations of love between people. I for some reason has always resonated with me, and it's just always something I've kind of striven to see, and I'm trying to obtain in my own work, and what I like seeing in other people's work. Yeah, it's just I feel like maybe I like to use it a lot is because I'm not getting enough of it or something, and yeah, just, in the fictive sort of sense, but
I mean
yeah,
that's
I
good
don't know.
though.
I'm just a real sucker for that.
That's good though. I think people, yeah, we all try to be creative, but I think most people as artists do about one thing reasonably well, and there's like
Hmm.
variations on it, but for the most part, they can do one thing reasonably well. And it might be like a different type of thing, like, you know, Gay does like fashion and like music, but there's like a specific through line of what he's doing in like terms of creativity that I think you can kind of see that he's
Hmm.
drawn to. So like if you're drawn to like these certain types of sentimentalities, and I think you should just keep going, for it. And you know, I think there's always more to be uncovered. Like I don't think you've reached the peak of your powers, so to speak, your writing powers.
I
There's
don't
so
think I have either.
yeah, there's so much
I think
there's
there's sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say there's so much more to learn. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, 100%. And I just feel like there is some sort of relationship opus in me, or I'll just kind of continue to keep riding that wave or something. Um yeah, I don't know. I got kind of sidetracked. I was thinking about how most of this movie you think of Joel as this very meek, sensitive guy who is not very confident at all, and he's and it's 100% Charlie Kaufman, being self-deprecating
Yeah,
about his own misgivings, and he doesn't see himself as this confident figure. He does see himself as this kind of emotionally weak person who's susceptible to repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Uh, and I definitely can relate to that. Can definitely relate to being Joel and being in times of my life where you just feel emotionally incapable or something, and you just find yourself repeating the same things that aren't going to push you forward.
yeah.
Even if they seem like they're helping you or something, it's really. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't mean to get too sidetracked from what we were talking
No,
about,
no,
but
because this I think is perfectly demonstrated. Like most people are like avoid self inserts, but the
Mhm.
actual truth, in my opinion, is that all art is self insert. There's never going to be a point where you make a story where you're not self inserting. And Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, he's just self inserting himself into the movie, and that's what makes it so good. You know, you're inserting yourself into soap scum. I mean, if it's not fucking
Mhm.
obvious in Hate Spree, like Wasp is just me. Like that's just how it is.
That's why he's the best character.
Yeah. But like all, and I just realized this that like all art is self-inserting, and anybody who ever says don't self-insert yourself into art just hasn't done it long enough. Cause like, and
Right.
even not even the characters, the whole sentimentality of like a project, your art is you. You know, like there's no separation. You can just see who the person is just from the art they produce.
Yeah. I'm especially trying to imbue it with with the tangible experiences that you've lived or whatever, and
Yeah,
it's like sometimes just to capitalize on like the rawest representation of that feeling is to yeah, to kind of just place yourself as yourself or something, like even if it is slightly fictive, but to really bring it down to the nuanced specifics of what you've endured. and
yeah,
uh and Charlie Kaufman is just the best at that. He does that with all of his movies. The I think the movie I can't remember if Adaptation came before or after Eternal Sunshine,
Hmm.
but that's where he gets Nick Cage to be his self insert, and Nick Cage literally just studied Charlie Kaufman's mannerisms like obsessively, and so he literally just tries to do a Kaufman impression on screen. He's not even being the character in the script. He's literally just trying to be Charlie Kaufman and how he talks and
uh,
sounds and moves. And it's the exact same thing with Joel. He is this self-deprecating character who, he has art, has beauty and art within him, but he's so self-deprecating that he keeps himself trapped within these cycles.
yeah,
And I'd just like to say real quick, um it's a really interesting contrast between Billy's character in Vincent in Buffalo 66
yeah,
and Joel's character in Eternal Sunshine, because both both characters could be seen as these emotional kind of raw nerve people who are self-defeating, but one is able to succumb to love and get past and go beyond their limitations, whereas Joel he just accepts accepts that he's going to be doomed to repeat these mistakes over and over and over again.
hmm.
And it's I don't know, it's just a lot more melancholic, uh his trajectory compared to Billy's.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
Hmm.
I thought the ending of the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was we're gonna give it a try again, and like it could end up happy. Um, but I could totally see what you're saying, where it's like it's a vicious cycle and it's just gonna happen again.
Well, that's the
Um,
thing. It's like it's either gonna break
yeah,
or it's going to continue to repeat itself. And what happens is they say, okay, like fuck it. We'll just
yeah,
deal with it because we love each other so much. And sometimes the universe just wants two people together, even if it's not good. They just want them together. So, okay, we'll just deal with it. But then
yeah,
it cuts to them on the beach in the snow,
yeah.
and it keeps repeating the same shot of them falling on top of each other and like barely getting up and leaving. And I think that's just supposed to mean that
Oh, it's cringe.
they're going to choose love. Oh, and
Oh,
you know
okay,
what?
I see.
There is there the script actually, this got cut out of the script, but originally it cuts to way in the future where Clementine is like in her fucking 70s or 80s, and she's still her and Joel are still doing this to each other.
Bro, what?
Yeah. So
Okay.
so they never escape their cycle. It's
Oh
always
man,
going to be like even though we choose love, we've chosen a love that will
that hates. Yeah, okay.
keep us kind of miserable and keep repeating the same, keep us in a state of misery or something.
Well, it's very interesting because I think, yeah, I think Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a better movie than Buffalo 66. But on the flip side, you know, like again, with the self-insert, you can see people's philosophies coming through in their artwork. Where I think Charlie Kaufman is a more of a liberal. Joel is very
Hmm.
passive, right?
Yeah.
And
And a
everything's like,
pessimist and
yeah, and everything's kind of done to him. I don't know if he ever really finds the balls to do something. Whereas
yeah, I don't think so.
Whereas Vincent Gallo, right from the get go, he's just like, "Yo, we're taking this bitch. Let's go." There's more right wing, there's more action, there's more forward directness to what he's trying to achieve. He's still like, yeah, in some ways, kind of a pussy bitch, just like Joel, but it's like this. It's this simple. There's a divide in how the philosophies go of where nerddom can take you, where incel, your
Yep.
incel nerddom story can take you. You know?
100%. 100%, dude. It's you could learn so much just by putting those two together, and you can see the outlook on life
Yeah.
just from those two, how both of these guys see it.
Yeah, like Buffalo
Um
66, it makes you feel good at the end where he's buying the cookie for everyone. He's gonna like change his fucking life. Like it feels so good. Whereas
yeah,
like
it's so
at
life
the
affirming.
whereas at the end of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, she's like, yeah, okay. And you're like, oh, okay, you know. But you're just so blown away by the technicalities, the sheer writing that you're like, wow, that was still really good. You know.
Mhm. And yeah, it's like both movies kind of like devastate me in a completely different way. And but I love that. I love that. Shit. And that, and my love for Eternal Sunshine might be why I'm always gravitating towards these sort of ambiguous, melancholic endings as
Yeah.
opposed to life affirming ones. But really watching Buffalo 66 again and just being so moved, it really made me reconsider why I like to end things that way, and you know what are my capabilities and as an artist, and I'd really like to try and push myself to try and do something that achieves that kind of quality, instead of,
Yeah.
because being miserable only keeps you in such a specific, like energy, or like you only radiate so much energy through negativity. And I do love having melancholy in my work, but also I definitely love to try and figure out if I'm capable of doing something that hits the same level as this or something, that ending.
Yeah, I know. I think we definitely talked about it. Like we both read the same T.R. Hudson article where he's going through a
Hmm.
lot of real life problems that are very sad and just like it, makes you think like, damn, like I really hope things turn out for him. But
Yeah, that article gutted me.
yeah,
Jesus.
for sure. It's that I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That's just like some of the roughest shit I've ever read. Um,
Yeah.
but like there was that one line in the article where he was like, I regret making um things like my a novel because I think you read it right. It was Automaton.
Yeah, there's a scene where uh like a rain of like missiles come down and hit this camp, and a ton of people die, including this, either she like had just given birth, or it was like something like or like it was a woman and child, or maybe
Yeah,
there's a couple scenes like that. There's a couple scenes that really gonna go dark as far as women and children and childbirth and shit. And yeah, in the article he said he really regret going there, despite
yeah,
the basically the universal praise it's gotten from people who've read it,
yeah.
including
So
myself.
so it was just I was like reading that. I was like, yeah, he's really. I don't know. It felt. I guess I'm just agreeing with him, but it felt really real what he was saying. Like negative, like endings are like cowardly, and
Hmm.
it's not to say that you could never make a negative ending, but it's I think people should be a bit more careful about whether or not they're doing it because I feel like for the past I don't know 15, 10 or so years with like the edgy shit it's been kind of like in vogue to like and all the main characters die. Well, what'd you think of that? We're
Right.
challenging your but I think
Hmm.
just it's kind of run its course and I think people are just tired of watching people die all the time. And
Yeah.
yeah, you were saying?
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say that, even in my own shit, I still think about the bad things that I did to people in my work,
Yeah.
and I almost regret it. Like, I think about the girl in Doodlebop who has all these issues, and
Yeah.
I make her commit suicide, and I dude, I think about her. I think about her, and I think about what I did to her, and I kind of hate myself. Like, and I know it's weird to, like, think that way, but,
No,
like,
it's
I
not.
really love her, and I love my characters so much, so to think of them, like, to think that I would do that to a person, even fictively, it's just, like, she's just so real to me, and for me to have done that to her, I don't know. I really leave some of these characters off in a place that
Yeah.
is not okay.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of my work.
No,
Obviously, I
it's
love my
good.
book, but it's like, damn, dude, I really, I'm really merciless in that way. I don't let people have redemptive, happy moments. So
Yeah.
it's definitely given me a lot to think about between TR's post and watching this again. It's really given me a lot to think about.
Yeah, no. I totally agree. Like, do your stuff. Yeah, that book. I mean, I I'm okay with whatever. Like, if you still keep it hard hitting, I'm just interested in whatever you really want to do next. I don't want you
Hmm.
because like I wasn't like I could say I wasn't too hot on it, but like honestly, the more I think about Soap Scum, it kind of gets better every day. Maybe I'm just getting used to it, but I just
It
want to see.
wears on you.
Yeah, because yeah, you're just exposing to a lot of media and stuff. But like, yeah,
Well, and it's funny because, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say I'm just interested in what like you actually want to do. If it gets darker, let's go there. If you want to go lighter, let's go there. It's just whatever's up. Whatever's on your mind. I want artists to truly be free in what they want to do. You know.
Yeah, and you'll definitely, because it's not going to be like some 180 thing. I'm always going to be,
Yeah.
telling sort of melancholic stories, and there's definitely going to be some endings that are, super brutal and hard to contend with.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I'm glad you're on for the ride, man.
But also, I would just like throw this in. Like, have you finished reading Hate Spree 2 yet?
I'm almost done with it.
Okay. Well,
I'm very close.
okay. Well, my thoughts on I'll just skip Hate Spree 2, but like for Hate Spree 1, it was kind of because I was in the same mindset, I guess, as like TR Hudson in the sense of I know cell death basically, because my thought process was like, okay, everybody's getting killed for like no reason at all. What if we reverse it? And the idea was, even in Haze 1, nobody dies ever. It doesn't matter what happens. Like everybody is safe, and I don't know if it's apparent, but there's no real danger in the books whatsoever. And the whole point is, yes, that as much as people in the past 15 years have been like, you are going to randomly die for no reason, my opposite thing was, you're going to live randomly for no reason. And that's why, like, at the end of Haze 1, they're like, theoretically, Wasp should have died, but he lives anyway. Why? Because fuck you, that's why.
um
So,
yeah, I was gonna say, uh oh shit, I kind of lost my train of thought. Let me see. So you were talking about,
Haze 3 is about no
uh
selling death.
oh yeah, okay, I remembered. So there is a competency to the first one where you don't feel quite like they're really in danger. Like, you do, like, you feel the kind of you kind of feel like the battle stakes a little bit, but you never quite feel like they are out of their depths completely. And there is always a moment where like you think something bad might happen, but then right at the last second, someone comes in and saves it with this really, really sick trick shot move or whatever. So I can kind of see where you're coming from with that, where instead of just like brutally taking out these characters, which you could do because they're like these these political archetypes or whatever,
Yeah.
so it almost feels like you could do whatever with them. But the fact that you choose to keep them alive, keep the camaraderie building, allow them to really develop as people, and this rapport, this back and forth banter, it helps the defining of the team, and wanting to be with these characters. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
the exact opposite of the total nihilism that you see in a lot of current shit.
Yeah, for sure. But that was the idea, and so I want to move on to Spree because I think this is going from hate Spree to Spree. I think this is what a better thing. But
That's
I
a
think
funny transition, yeah.
we both agree that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, dope as fuck. I think
Yep.
one of the greatest movies possibly of all time. Not my favorite, but if it's your favorite, totally get it. It's Jesse's
Hmm.
favorite for a reason. The hype is is warranted with this movie. Completely hype is real. Watch this fucking movie. It's really good. So
Hell yeah, dude.
Spree,
Couldn't have said it better myself.
yeah. So Spree, we haven't talked about we talked about the other ones before a little bit, but this one we
Hmm.
haven't talked about. So
This is the
um
first time me and you were talking about this, yeah.
yeah. So do you think I should give my thoughts or you should give your thoughts first?
You go first. I want to hear what you thought.
Okay. All right. So I thought Coldplay. I thought it was pretty good. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Um,
Yeah,
there's obviously
like a 6 or
some.
7.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's around Detention's level. I don't know if I like Detention more. I probably like Detention. There's some parts that each one does better. I'll say,
Hmm.
because like I think you said before, like there's some SJW isms in here, and like
Yeah, it's like a
yeah,
dirtbag left movie.
it does drag the movie down a bit, at the
Yeah.
end where it's like, oh, this this BIPOC, oh wow, she's so great and she's so funny and she stopped this serial killer. It's like, okay,
Yeah, the most unfunny black female comedian who saves the day. It's like
yeah,
to me, and that's why it's very dirtbag left, because
yeah,
the movie gets to it feels like it gets to get away with saying all these naughty things and making the main character of the movie an Elliot Rodger type, but the only way it can get away with that is by putting all the naughty words in the bad people's mouths, and
yeah,
by he may be the hero, but actually the the diversity hire who literally can't act out of a fucking box. She's the one who is the real authentic social media personality, who is real and saves the day. And
bro. Like
yeah, so that's ridiculous.
when you said she was the most unfunny, I was like, yes, that is completely correct, bro. Like people were saying like all eyes on me. I thought that was like a bit, like she was gonna do some like joke, and it's just a catchphrase, and I'm like, who the fuck wrote this, bro? Like all eyes on,
Yeah.
like who cares? Um, but
Yeah, not fun at all. And
yeah,
she goes on stage to do comedy,
yeah,
and like there's her friend who does comedy before her supposedly bombs, but I was
yeah,
laughing way more at his shit,
bro, his set was
you
pretty
know?
funny. Yeah,
Yeah, it was actually good. And then she comes on and she doesn't say a fucking joke. She just like virtue signals.
yeah, okay,
Really annoying, but
yeah. But as I was
it's
saying,
like,
there's a lot
mhm,
of good things to this movie for sure.
right.
It's so I think the thing that got me the most, and I don't know if you had this experience, bro. I had to pause this movie several times because this dude was acting so fucking cringe, bro. Like when he was embarrassing his dad at the strip club, I literally had to pause it. I had to like do something else for 20 minutes. I cannot handle this shit, dude. It is
Oh, no
so
way.
fucking cringe.
That's amazing because and the director has said before he likes that the movie is cringy, and he wanted really hard to lean into those cringe aesthetics. And
Yeah,
I never had to get up and leave, but that is really funny. Do you mean when they go meet the singer, the Asian singer, the
yeah.
Uno chick?
The Uno chick,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
And he's
even
just a total piece of shit.
yeah, but even before that, there's times where he acts really fucking awkwardly in front of people, and I just had to pause the movie. It was like, dude, this, and I knew in my mind this is really good. This is why it's
Yeah.
really good. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I have to get off. Like I have to like do something else for like 20 minutes just to like just prepare for myself for like what the next cringe that's about to happen from this guy's mouth, bro.
Yeah. It reminded me of our last episode. We were talking about how technology shapes us in
Yeah.
like a literal physical sort of way. And there are so many moments in this movie where characters are walking or doing something, and they're also holding their cell phone recording them. So, and it's this very modern, uh, cringy aesthetic of like people like learning how to adapt and walk and be like one with their technology. And I thought this movie really captured that well.
Yeah, like as I said before, I think it did the technology stuff way better than Baby Invasion. It's I
Mhm.
feel like even though it doesn't go that far, it's things people would say about like oh the Uno chick is so hot or oh this is crazy, you need to get off the stream, stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Um
chat dialogue is
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And apparently he spent weeks writing it all himself, the director. He just spent like entire days and nights just typing those out by himself, one at a time.
Damn, that's crazy. But I don't know if they did the same thing for Baby Invasion. Um
It didn't feel that way to me.
Some people said it might have been AI that Harmony might have used AI to like make the chat stuff, but I don't know.
Oh, that would be interesting. I kind of felt to me it almost felt like they had found a server where they could stream it to like specific people who were in the know or something. And they actually did live stream filmings of the movie before they edited it, and then that's how they got it. But I have no idea.
I don't think that would work because I think then the people would have to be credited and then they would have to like pay them. Maybe I could be wrong, but
Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I don't think that's how they could do it like in a production setting because you would have to like yeah hire people because you don't want people to break NDA before like you release the movie or whatever shit like
That
that.
is true.
So I don't know. I don't know how he did it. Maybe he got a server. Maybe he paid a bunch of guys on Fiverr, a bunch of Indians on Fiverr, and was like, "Listen here, I need all this text because Baby Invasion has way more text than Spree does." But
Right, and it just made me curious because I knew that the director of Spree had did it all himself handheld,
yeah,
or by hand or whatever. So I was just like, how did they end up doing it for this one? Um,
well,
yeah, and the
I think
baby
Spree
invasion
is.
ones.
I just want to say I think Spree is making better
Yeah.
choices because Baby Invasion, because of the quantity, the quality goes down because there's so much. Whereas I think Spree, not every shot has a live stream comment. So because
Mm.
of the reduced amount, they can actually make the quality of the lines better.
Yeah, it's way more competent, it feels like, in
Yeah,
its steady use of everything. It just feels very confident in the way that it cuts, and the way that it introduces multiple screens overlaid on each other, and sharing each other and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It just for it being a very modern movie about internet culture and the way how society nowadays kind of looks. I thought it really nailed some aspects. And I
yeah,
kind of love that the only real music in the movie, or like the main score of it, is like some EDM mix that the
nah,
main guy made. He just has
Oh
playing during the whole time.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, so was there really no music throughout the whole thing? I didn't even notice.
It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure because well, it turns
That's
out
dope.
that the movie is being edited by some guy on 4chan or something who really
Yeah,
loves him.
which rip
So there are
4chan.
right. Oh goddamn, bro. Yeah,
Same
what the
here.
fuck? Yeah, fuck
Crazy.
soy jacks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm sorry, I was
But
trying to finish your thought.
yeah. Oh shit. Where was I?
You were talking about
um.
the movie was being
Okay.
edited by people on 4chan.
Yeah. So there's Comic Sans title cards and like some stock music that kind of comes in every now and then, but like since the whole movie is like a fanboy's edit of like an Elliot Rodger murder spree, they just use the actual music that Kurt made or whatever that the main
Yeah.
character made and was listening to. And it's just it's just elements like that that it services the story, it services the aesthetic, and it all makes it cohesive in a way that flows really well.
No, I agree, man. And dude, like one of the things that I saw that was blowing my mind was people were actually complaining about how the movie was shot. I was like, how? This is
That's the
like,
best part.
yeah, it's one of the best parts. Like, it's so fucking cool. Like, it's shot like it's on a phone, bro. Like, how could you
Yeah,
be mad at this? It's
it's
insane.
so good. And there it's so inventive the way they do that, and they still do cinematic tricks. They do this like Silence of the Lambs psych out thing where you think he's arriving outside the door of the comedian's house and he knocks on the
Yeah,
door. He gets a knock on the door. She goes to answer it, and it turns out they're at completely two different houses. And then when he murders his the kid he
yo,
used to babysit for,
yeah,
incredible. That is like I think that might be the best scene in the movie. It's
it's pretty
so
good.
fucking good. Yeah, it's so visceral and like uh yeah, just the I felt like this weird completion of uh his demented psychology in that moment.
Yeah, I think my favorite shot was the shot where he's in the car with that guy and like it's totally green and he's just like laughing to himself, and then it
Yes.
yeah, and then it just cuts, and then the scene after he's obviously killed the guy, but that
Yeah.
was like a really good shot. I thought it was really good.
I actually got chills during that moment because
Yeah,
it's like night vision and his eyes are glowing like a demon in the back seat. And yeah, just this kind of nice, like just a Middle Eastern guy. He's just like, hey, just so you know, I'm not that driver killer guy.
yeah,
And there's a beat of silence, and
yeah,
then he kind of chuckles to himself and he goes, I know. And
yeah,
you're
dude,
like,
that's so
oh,
good.
dude, yeah, total chills. I was like, okay, Joe Keery's like almost too good for this movie.
Yeah,
He really is a sensation. He totally brought it.
but it's also crazy too because like in the scene that you mentioned, he just kills this guy alive and nobody believes it. It's kind of funny because
Yeah, he kills so many people, and he's like, what is this bullshit? I'm not even getting double digits. No one's
yeah,
watching this. What do I do? And he's just like, come on, dude, you got to do it like homeless hero.
yeah, yeah, it does speak to that. Obviously that's
That
me.
like
I'm
Mr.
I'm
Beast shit.
Kurt. I'm trying so hard, and only Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. It's all his fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
Um.
oh, I did want to mention that. Did this come out before Fish Tank? Because I feel like Fish Tank
Yeah.
might have cribbed this. Yeah. Okay. So they probably cribbed it from this, the whole camera, because it was a camera and then also a live stream, and you could pick any camera. And I was like, oh, this is Fish Tank.
I could see that. Because one of the main inspirations for Fish Tank was this thing called, I think it might have been called The Cell. I forget what it was called, but it was
Hmm.
something that Ice Poseidon did, where he locked a few people in a room, and it was just like whoever stays longest wins or whatever wins this money, and it was a live stream, and all the contestants were dressed in that black and white striped prison guard, garb or whatever.
Hmm.
And it didn't take long for people to quickly start screaming at each other and really like threatening each other and shit. And so I know that had a huge element in them pushing forward on Fish Tank. And now they do similar stuff to that, but it's like it's way more heightened and interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But probably Ice Poseidon. I don't know. Maybe they didn't watch Spree, but I thought it was like this is the exact same setup. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see some tangential through line there for sure. Because I don't know if there was any. I can't think of a movie that really did this before Spree. I
Yeah,
can't even think of one.
yeah.
This is
Uh,
my only reference point.
yeah. Also, the actor was really good. So I think he's the
Hmm.
best. I think people say he carries it on his back, and I think I agree. He was super cringe. Exactly what he needed to be. I think that was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought he was perfect for the role. And he's so I just thought he was so fun. And like
Yeah.
he's always doing like he's always doing throwing up the peace sign. Like he's always doing like these like funny like influencer things that he's like picked up online that he thinks he needs to be doing to like get attention and stuff. And yeah, I just thought he was so likable and charming despite this sort of this weird darkness going through all the scenes. And yeah, he's
Also,
definitely the best part.
he makes really good music because you showed me his band, his indie band
Hmm.
Joe. I don't know how you say DJO Joe. It's good. It's good indie music. Really good.
Yeah, I heard him just say it's just a funny way of saying Joe. But for the longest time, whenever I'd say it to
Oh.
people, I'd be like, put on Dio, put on
Oh.
Djo, for the longest time until and I still probably do that just because I can't help it. But it's supposed to just be a funny way of saying Joe. But yeah, I
Is
think
his
I
real name
sent you a
Joe?
couple tracks. Hmm?
Is his real name Joe?
Yeah, his name is Joe Keery.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, and he just makes really, really catchy indie music that is so far and beyond what you would expect from some Stranger Things actor to make music. Because that kid Finn Wolfhard, he's got his own band, and I hate that shit. It does not sound good at all. But this sounds so good. I listen to it like every day. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like a crapshoot, man. Like, I think the only one I can think of that went is what's the guy's name? The pink guy. He made what's his fucking band? You know the one I'm talking about. Uh,
Joji?
Joji. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Joji's a good band. I think he's like the only one I can think of that makes it. And
Yeah, I love
now
Joji.
now also Joe. So I guess the Joe guys got it.
Mhm. And Jody's such a he just being so rooted in deranged iconic internet humor that has just memeified the world, and then to turn around and make really beautiful soulful like pop bangers, really stunning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's good. I mean, they, yeah, they make good music, man. Totally agree. And Joe
Yeah,
Keery
he's a
kept it
force.
kept it throughout the movie. He was dope. Um,
Mhm.
I also really like that one. There was this one scene where he's like, "I'm invincible," and then his car immediately crashes. Yeah,
Oh, dude, yeah, I was laughing so hard at that. He's like, "I'm unstoppable. I can do whatever." And then he literally hits a ramp and it does a 360 and smashes. Yeah, he's just plowing through a homeless camp.
yeah. And like,
Amazing.
doesn't the same thing happen in Torque? Like the private investigators, he's like, I can like drive anywhere, and then he immediately his car flips over.
Yeah, there's a big chase scene where he thinks he's being confident and like does a swerve or something, and he
Yeah,
totally eats shit. And then he says that typical line to the girl. He's like, "Don't say a fucking thing, don't say it."
yeah. So
Oh, real quick,
yeah,
sorry, I didn't want to distract you. I just thought it was such a crazy creative choice to make the main detective of Torque just wearing like band tees and fucking Converse sneakers.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a vibe. I think it fits the vibe of the movie because I guess he's like a looser
100%.
detective. You know, he's like
Hmm.
kind of cool. Um,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, he's the MTV detective.
like there's kind of like a thing in like gaming tech where like they kind of don't want to be seen as nerds. So like they're like, I'm a nerd, but I wear like V-necks and polos, you know, and that was I guess like kind of the vibe for this. I'm not your daddy's detective or whatever the fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and that part of that was like, yeah, sort of cringy, sort of funny, but I also, yeah, just love the vibe of it that they just decided to it's just such a choice to go with that.
I think it's good. It's a good choice. I totally agree. Totally agree.
I've never seen it before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Um,
yeah, going back to Spree. Um,
mhm.
don't know if there's. I mean, yeah, it's like a slasher film. I mean, how do you think in terms of slasher films it compares to Detention?
I like Detention a lot more.
Okay.
It's like because that one actually, um, excuse me, it delivers uh really hyper graphic kills with a lot of gore, and it's just fun. It's just fun blood and guts, and then even when it's just like people slashing at each other, it's just kind of visceral and fun. Whereas this, it's like there's not a lot of bite to the kills. They're more so just kind of disturbing. Like for the most part, people just take a sip of water and then pretend to start
Yeah.
choking and then they keel over. So I think the best kill in the movie is when he takes those influencer people to a junkyard, and like the
Yeah.
dogs jump on top, and then he pulls out a screwdriver and he digs it into the girl's head, and it's like apparently that scene goes on way longer, it's way bloodier, but they cut it. So the movie definitely kind of kneecaps itself before going too extreme with its kills. And if when I watch slashers, when I want to enjoy and revel in horror, I want to see some crazy bonkers shit. I want to see, like, dude, when the jock gets his arm cut off in Detention, it is so insane. It's so over the top.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy that hyper aesthetic. And that's not to say there isn't a place for something way more subtle and subdued, with some of these earlier kills in the movie, but it's just I just don't I almost don't get too much pleasure from it from being a slasher film. I don't even know what kind of pleasure I get from it. It's just so much fun and interesting to watch.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I think Spree actually has more actual kills. Um,
Hmm.
but the kills in Detention do go harder. Um, but I do agree because like everything in this Spree advertising makes you think like that's because there's like blood running down his face. I think from when he's supposed to be in the shower. So you think it's gonna
Yeah.
be this bloody thing, but actually the kills are kind of muted. They're kind of they just happen. They just like
Muted
okay,
is a great word for it. That's exactly how I would put it. It's like, yeah, honestly, yeah, one of the most visceral shots in the whole movie is him in the shower getting the blood run off his face. It's like that's almost more um yeah, that's almost more sensational than any of the kills in the movie.
yeah,
Him just being covered in blood and letting it run continuously, and his like hyper manic energy that he's finally getting followers.
yeah, sure, dude. I mean, totally, yeah, totally. I think it could have been more violent, and I guess maybe they wanted it to be more fun. I don't know. Um,
I could kind of see that, because and also the director of this movie, he had
mhm,
only made very micro budget movies before this.
yeah,
So this is really like his foray into bigger budget sort of studio movies. And it is still a really low budget movie, But comparatively, you could probably say that maybe on some level he was trying to appeal to a broader audience, not try to go too transgressive or too extreme. It's like the most you know kind of like confrontational stuff in the movie comes from when the white supremacist gets in the car and he just says all this really funny
Yeah,
based shit.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, we're doing commentary on this. Okay, like
Yeah.
it's in the movie, but it's very interesting. Like, because I think that touches upon how do you think it compares to like the Elliot Rodgers stuff IRL? Because the kills, I guess it's revealed that he actually killed his mom at the beginning of the movie, right? But you don't
Yeah,
know
that kind of
that.
haunts me for some reason.
Well, yeah, it does. It
Like in a
haunts
way
me.
that none of the other kills do. Like the because um I guess you brought up a really interesting point because I strangely think about that kill a lot actually, because he's about to get off on his mission at the very beginning of the movie,
Yeah,
and he just goes, "Oh yeah, shit, I forgot something," and then he goes back inside, and he comes sprinting back into his car. He's out of breath. He's like super manic. He's like, "All right, let's fucking go." And you don't really think too much of it. But then
yeah,
when they do the flashback and it's revealed that he killed his mom in those 2 seconds, and you get those pained line deliveries from his dad being like, "Did you do this? Did you kill your mom?" Like there's just something really about that hits the Elliot Rodger motif, you know, because the movie it's trying to contrast influencer culture with
yeah,
murder. And when they and Elliot Rodger didn't really have a influencer personality.
yeah.
So by them making him Elliot Rodger with an influencer personality, it kind of diminishes part of the message, but creates like a completely different one.
I feel like there's a good parallel line because I think both this guy, they're both suffering from attention deficits, right? So the spree guy is
Mhm.
suffering from the attention deficit of the online world, but Elliot Rogers obviously is suffering from the attention deficit that hot bitches won't fuck him. So
Right.
it's the same thing, and I think it's a very clear through line. And I guess it's really weird because I think we talk about muted kills, but I think the mom kill is the best one, and it is the one that haunts you the most. I mean,
Hmm.
if you just think about it, it's so dark on a level that because even Elliot Rodger, he didn't kill his own mom. He just wanted to kill the sorority girls, but that didn't work out, so he killed his two Asian roommates or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, he didn't kill his own parents. Like that's on. Though I forget in his manifesto, like he kind of wanted to kill his little brother or something because he was like hogging all the attention from his parents. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think you're right. I think I remember that.
yeah, so
But
I guess it is dark, but like he didn't actually do it. I guess it's just something about killing your own mom and your own dad is just like on another level, and it just kind of sticks with you because we all have. I don't know if we all have friends or all, but we all obviously have a mom and dad somewhere at some point.
hmm then it yeah, that's what makes it it's like that taps into some uncanny human darkness that is so specific
Hmm.
and hard to contend with. And it's just like I don't know. It's kind of surprising that it's actually in this movie because
Yeah.
it's otherwise so cavalier and about caricatures that a moment like that really kind of well, I think it brings you into the reality of people who do commit these kind of murders. But yeah, I don't know, man. You're right that even Elliot Rodder didn't do that. I was just reading this thing about this some other some other white kid just got just got caught trying to carry out some assassination attempt, but got caught early after he killed his parents first.
Bro.
It's like that. It's just such a crazy. I mean, it's like I don't know. The movie's touching on this aspect of like male white oppression or something that it's reacting in very strange, unpredictable, violent ways. And the movie definitely comes from a dirtbag left perspective, but I don't know. It is interesting that they make him the movie. It's about him. It's like who's going to make a movie that is like about the guy?
Well, I guess maybe it's just white guys have more emotion in the sense that maybe there's more sick emotionality that you can touch on with like white guy evil. Because if we were just doing like gay like black people just I just shot two people on a Friday night gang banging. It's not like there's
Mhm.
much emotion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just don't know hood culture because they
Maybe
all
not a
wear.
lot of significance behind it,
Yeah,
like or like yeah, maybe like thematic significance behind seeing something like that other than the obvious.
there's more kills, but it's less heartfelt, right? Like the
Hmm.
white guy is more personal. Betty, that bitch, I'm gonna, you know. So
Yeah, because it feels like a problem or something that we let get out of hand that needs to be solved. Like it's like who's helping these kids?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah,
But the movie can't completely sympathize with him. It can't completely do that. So
no,
it has to make him be murdered by this DEI
yeah. I mean,
inclusive.
I mean, from the first get go, they're like, because it's like, oh, there's the white supremacist. He sucks.
Yeah,
There's the Mario guy, the Alpha Chad, the
the
Andrew Tate.
toxic male.
Yeah, Andrew Tate standalone. He's also a creep. And the
The
main
one
character,
woman is like a gentrifier or something.
yeah, and it's so funny too because they're like, oh, because they have to mention that this black actress looks so sexy. Not true. I don't give a fuck. She
Dude,
does
not
not
at
look.
all.
We're on some Deborah Wilson shit here, bro. Like she's got
Yeah.
googly eyes, dude. But
Just
um,
pretending like she's so fucking cool is so
yeah,
it's just like and the celebratory nature of like when she kills him and then there's just like, oh, her Instagram explodes and everybody thinks she's even cooler and like
yeah,
it's just like it really fucking grinds my gears.
and
That it's an aspect of the movie I really do not like.
yeah, and yeah, obviously the main character is the killer, so you can't sympathize with him. And I think the
Mhm.
dad is the most sympathetic, but I,
Maybe the most innocent.
yeah, he is the most innocent, but he is also a drug addict, I guess. But I mean,
Oh my god, when he just, like, stumbles out of the back room with the
yeah.
with the heroin needle still in his arm and the the thing wrapped around it, I was like, "Oh, shit."
Wait, I
Yeah.
just realized his
Oh,
dad was in the home the whole entire time and didn't realize the mom was lying on the floor dead. How did that
right,
even
he had
happen?
no idea. It's like, did he step over her? Like like, what
Yeah.
happened? Or maybe, like, there's another entrance from the garage into that room or
Yeah.
something, but either way, I was like, yeah, and the way he sells, though, him discovering her body and
Yeah.
questioning his son about it. Yeah, really, really great. And then he just executes his dad on the spot.
Yeah. I guess the dad is the most sympathetic, but you're like, this is your son though, bro. But I don't know. He is
Yeah,
pretty
there's
sympathetic.
he. It's kind of implied that and it's not entirely their fault or whatever, but it is implied that his upbringing with his parents' divorce and all this weird LA striving or whatever between his parents had this weird effect on him growing up. Um, he, what's cool is like the beginning montage. It shows like all these different YouTube videos that he made.
Yeah.
Like I draw my life and all this shit. And on the special features, you can actually watch those completely uncut, like those like a 20-minute draw my life where you learn his entire life. You learn everything that led up to where he is now.
Uh, Yeah. Okay. So that's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. The world building. Obviously, yeah, they made the right decision in cutting it. I could I could take 20 minutes of like bro your entire life, but that's actually pretty cool that they
It's
put that in there.
yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. I turned it off after like 5 minutes probably, but I was like, I get the I get the
Yeah.
gist of this.
But I also think that's something as an author you need to do. Maybe not with every character, but I think this story definitely needed like I drew my whole life and we understand where this guy is coming from to like make the story.
Can you give me 1 second? I just gotta run and use the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, I'll pause it. Pause. All right, so we're back from our bathroom breaks, or whatever, not ours, but whatever. Awkward.
It
We
was our
completely,
bathroom break.
yeah, we completely lost our train of thought. So I'll just say, Spree, fun movie. A lot of SJWism, but it's worth a watch.
Yep,
I don't know.
100% agree with that. It's a fun watch, especially if you can ignore some of the maybe annoying elements to it. There's a lot to mine from it, and it's just an interesting watch. So I definitely recommend it.
I just remembered that we were talking about the draw life thing. That he drew his life for 20 minutes, and
Oh right.
yeah, and I think yeah, if you're creating a world like I don't think it should be for every movie, but I think it was good that they did that. So they drew the word out.
Yeah, it seems to me like that was like I mean, I feel like that's the ultimate gift for an actor to just have a completely detailed analysis of how of like from their birth to where the movie starts so that they have this completely three-dimensional rounded understanding of exactly who this person is before they even start talking on set. And you can kind of see in certain actors who have that nailed down, who completely know exactly to a T who this person was seconds before the camera started rolling.
Yeah, so totally agree. Don't
Hmm.
know if you have any other points to.
Not really. Though I mean, I feel like we definitely explored all we could really mine from this, or
Yeah,
as much as we can for
yeah.
now, for sure, definitely.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll probably do another one of these in the future. I don't know when, but you know, sending Jesse's gonna keep sending me movies. I mean, we're gonna see. It's fun to talk movies and whatever we come up with. So we'll
Yep,
we'll
part
talk
of part
again.
of being my friend is me constantly talking about movies and recommending them, and just referencing back to things I know about them in order to fill conversation up.
I
It's just how I relate to the world and how much I've learned about uh
yeah.
like art and life and people. And yes, I had a blast with this conversation. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, it's fun, man, and just it's fun to actually get into movies and have a fun time with it. Because as I said before, other people have tried. It gave me boring suggestions. Not cool. This is fun. Gonna keep doing it. So
Yeah, I wanted to pick stuff that spoke to you, spoke to your personality. I didn't want to just give you some generic just some generic recommendations. I wanted you to be able to find something that you would fucking love. And I feel like I kind of nailed that. I feel like I gave you
well,
some I got you some pieces that you can now take with you forever that you really love.
day one torque, man, really good. But yeah,
Mhm. And Spring Breakers.
yeah. Well, that came after, but yeah, Spring Breakers for sure, for sure.
Right, right, right.
I
But yeah.
probably like Spring Breakers more than torque, but yeah. All right. So
Um
you want to take us out?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Subversive Subversions. We will be back again soon. I've been your co-host, Jesse Larkins. You can find my book Soap Scum, released through Anxiety Press. You can find that on Amazon.com. And King, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is King Cringe, co-host of Subverted Subversions. You can find my shit on Substack. We have a YouTube channel now, so I guess we're obviously just gonna populate that with this podcast. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be fun times. So
Yeah, everybody stay tuned for more more analyses of future Kanye tweets.